Hello, hello, Wobbly Cam says hello, hello, welcome, 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 welcome. It is Friday, it's eModels channel. Hello, it's time to build some more Imperial Knight, Preceptor CANIS Rex. Yes, welcome one and all, welcome, welcome. It's a bank holiday, so hopefully... Oh, excuse me, that all went wrong, inhaled the wrong way there. You think I'd be able to breathe properly being nearly 50, I'd have figured it out by now. Hang on, give me 1 second, hang on, I need a swig of water, 1 sec. Honestly, start the stream and instantly I get like a wheezy cough for some reason. I don't know. Nonsense. Welcome one and all to Friday. It's time to carry on with this nonsense. Yes, welcome to the eModels.co.uk YouTube channel, your one-stop shop for all your model making needs, all of them, all the needs you have for model making, all of them. They're the one-stop shop for them. Yeah, we're going to crack on with this puppy that we've been making. Don't forget, of course, this is the channel of eModels.co.uk. Do visit the website, do go and buy lots and lots and lots of things. If you remember, I'm building this before I do a painting guide video for eModels. Now, of course, this isn't in stock at the minute. They're waiting a restock of the Games Workshop stuff. But there's loads of other things in there, so they do stock Games Workshop now, so do go and check them out. This should hopefully be back in soon. I don't know when we're doing the painting series, because I need to wait for this to come back into stock. But hopefully soon. But this is just getting the build out of the way. So welcome. As always, it's a typical one of my streams where there's a live chat. There's no live chat there you can see, but there is a live chat next to the video on YouTube. So do come and join in. It's all about having fun with your friends in the chat while I crack on with this and just waffle on for 3 hours and clear my throat every 5 minutes. Because that's always the way. So if you are watching this and you're watching it embedded in, say, Facebook or Twitter or somewhere else, click on the YouTube icon that's down in the bottom right-hand corner down here somewhere, and that will take you to the YouTube page where you can join in the live chat, and you should do, because it's awesome. Yeah, so we're going to be cracking on. I shall have a quick look. As always, of course, this is an eModels stream, so please keep everything family-friendly in the chat. eModels is a proudly family-friendly store, and please refrain from discussing other retailers who may be in direct competition with eModels, you know, other model stores and things like that. It's kind of rude to come into someone's house and tell them about how nice the house next door is, so don't do that. But yes, let's have a look and see who we have in. We have William Rayborn was the first in. Hello, Foxx. Hello, people in Chatland. Welcome, William. David Sanderson. We have Wendy Hickson. Welcome, Wendy and David. Sarah Jane is in. Thumbed up. Shouldn't really, as Foxx hasn't paid me yet. Wait, I pay you? Well, when do I get paid? Hang on. Wait, what? Welcome, welcome, Sarah Jane. David Sanderson asked Sarah Jane, as a matter of interest, do you have a Renault Renault R26, a Formula One car in your stash? She makes a lot of cars. And she says, I don't know. I'm not sure if anyone makes one, actually. Sarah Jane, if you find one, or if you become aware of one, do give the guys at eModels a shout. You'll have to drop an email or give them a call. If you can't find it in stock, if you find somebody that does make one, do give them a shout, because whoever makes one, they can get one in stock for you, especially if it's Tamiya, because they're UK's leading Tamiya distributors and retailers. So if you find one of a manufacturer of one, if you find a brand and you can't see it in stock, give them a shout. They'll be able to get one in for you. There you go. We have Model Making Guru, don't know who that is, some chump or other. We have Michael Johnson says, a quick hello to everyone. I'm off to get my COVID jab. Good luck. Enjoy. It's in and out and you're done. There you go. Let's have a look. Wendy Hickson. Hello, Wendy. Sarah Jane. Brian Windmill's in. Hi, Brian. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Candygram from Mongo is in. Welcome, Candygram. Welcome, welcome, welcome to you. And that's everybody so far. Now, I don't expect a lot of people in the chat today, because it is a Friday. It is a bank holiday, so where possible, people will be not necessarily out and about, but they'll be sat out in the garden having jolly good times in the sunshine if you've got some. We've got sunshine, but it's not super warm. And like I say, it's Friday. Some people will still be at work if they're or working if they're working from home. But we'll crack on. We shall crack on. Anyway. Sarah Jane says, I'm okay today and annoyed the weather isn't nice for spraying outside and having to suffer Foxx today. Fine, I'm stream over. Let's just end it there. Fine, bye. Only joking. I do have the power of buttons to do that though. Anyway, yes. So hopefully you are getting some decent weather. Obviously, Sarah Jane, you're not. We've got sun, but it's not warm. It's fine for spraying though. I could go out and spray if I wanted to. Anyway, let's crack on. So, if you remember so far, we built the gams. Gams oh plenty. Do it on camera, dear. We have built many gams. We have built a chunk of the torso. Last week, you remember I stuck on the wrong little heads. I put on the eagle heads. Is the camera even in the right place? It's vaguely in the right place. Let me just... it's kind of low down, isn't it? Let me just... There you go, better. Yes, I glued on the eagle heads rather than the wolfy heads or the dog heads. So I took those off last week, and I've glued on the dog heads after the show finished last week. So we've got those on there. They do look uncannily like the Space Wolves heads. Interesting to note that. If I ever build, next time I build an Imperial Knight that's a Space Wolves Knight, I'll make sure I get the Canis Rex kit and I can put them on. Because they look very similar. But it's Canis Rex, you see. It's big dog, king dog, isn't it? So we've done that. We assembled, but we're waiting for filler to dry on the exhaust, which we'll take care of in a minute. We also built the walking figure of Sir Hector Cerberin, who is the princeps of this mobile, nearly said mobile suit, nearly said mobile suit, knight suit. Yes, nearly. And we also built the cockpit version of Sir Hector in his cockpit on his throne mechanicum, which is what the seat's called. Now, we built him separate, so we've got him built there separate from painting. We've also got, we didn't install the side instrument panels, and we've not glued that in the back. I think we could actually glue that in, I think, couldn't we? Because I can put him in there. No, actually, I'll leave it out. I'm leaving these out on the side panels for painting later. So we've got that built and assembled. He's there ready for painting, so we'll put him to one side. And I think we're just ready to crack on with the next step now. But the first thing we need to do is tidy up this exhaust that we did last week. If you remember, there was a bit of a gap here, and I filled it with some sprue glue, which is just Tamiya extra thin, with a whole mess of sprue dumped in it that slowly dissolves and becomes like a really thick, stodgy stuff. It's filled it nicely. It's had a week to cure now. It only takes like a few hours, but it's had a week. All the glue is flashed off away and evaporated. That's now just literally a blob of polystyrene from the sprues filling that gap. So we just need to sand that away. Let's have a look. Max McGinn is in. Afternoon, everyone, says Max. Thank you very much. What am I saying thank you for? Saying hello. I meant to say hello, not thank you. Hello, Aaron. That looks like a pram if you put wheels on it, says Sarah Jane. Does a bit, doesn't it? Yes. Right, so let's have a swig of water and we'll crack on with the cleanup. Nom, 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 nom. Yes, so I'm sure you can find one of those cars, Sarah Jane. Just have a look and see. Like I say, if you do find one, give the guys at eModels a shout. I'll be able to get one in for you. Right, so we don't need that right now. I need to clean up this exhaust first. So I'll put these bits over here. See, there's lovely. Yeah. Use my little mat of Sangularity. So we made that bead of sprue glue. It's basically there's a little gap and it's a bead over the gap and it's filled the gap with polystyrene as well. It would have seeped down in. All we need to do is get rid of it. So it will sand exactly the same as the surrounding polystyrene because it's polystyrene. So I shall put on my lenses of seeing. Now, don't forget, of course, if you are in the chat, I have the chat here in front of me. However, once I put on the lenses of Old Man Seeing, that chat becomes just this big blur of text. So if you do want to catch my attention, please do, because it gives me something to talk about. Put your comment in capital letters, put it all in caps so it stands out a little bit. Or you can @ me if you want. Now, I'm signed into chat as Model Making Guru, so @ Model Making Guru, just like Max McGinn has done just there. You can see my name's in orange there. That helps me see there's something for my attention. Or if you really want to, you can do a super chat, which is a little dollar symbol at the bottom of the chat window. Click on that, and it puts your comment in a coloured box, and I can't possibly miss your comment then. But if not, just do it in capitals or @ me if you want. If you do @ eModels, I won't see that because I'm not signed into chat as eModels. So make sure to hit. So hopefully you get an audio and video okay. We shall crack on. So let's have a look and see. So we've got this bead of the nonsense here. We also didn't really do much about the nub because I knew I was going to be fixing it like this. So what I'm going to do is take my metal file. You could do it with a spongy file, but it's quite not a massive blob, but I want to get rid of most of it first. And what we're basically doing is very gently, I'm not pushing down on this at all. I'm using the weight of the file itself, and I'm following the curve of the exhaust stack. And I'm just slowly grinding it away. Now what I actually need to do is basically sand away or file away the bead of glue that's over the gap and leave just the little thin vein of glue that filled the gap flush with the surface of the model. I need to make sure I follow the curve so I don't get a flattened plateau. Quicker just to use a file for this bit. I might not have to do too much actually. Now if this was an Orc vehicle or something else, you could be quite handy with this. It wouldn't really matter if you've got some flat spots. But this is it's an Imperial Knight. It's not supposed to be horrible and beaten and knackered, but it's not supposed to be pristine and clean either. So I don't want to make it look too beaten up. We'll do. That's probably about as far as we want to go with that. Literally putting no pressure on there at all. I'm just making sure I follow the curve. And you notice I'm going in one direction. I'm not going backwards and forwards. If you go backwards and forwards like that, that's when you really start to gnarl up the surface and it looks a bit rough and ready. Now let's just have a look at that in the light. That looks pretty good. So all I need to do now is just, I've put lots of scratches in there from the file, so I need to go in with some sanding sponges now just to try and get those scratches out. The file was purely there to take material away. The sanding sponges now are just to clean up the surface for the filing. I'm using sponges rather than just sanding sticks because sponges conform to the surface a bit better. They're squishy and they squish in place, so that's likely to do a flat spot. And this you can go backwards and forwards because all I'm doing, I'm not really trying to smooth anything flat. I'm trying to just put in so many more little fine scratches that you can't see the original sanding scratches and it just looks flat and smooth then. It's a trick with sanding. That's why sometimes you'll start with a rough grade and go lighter and lighter and lighter, finer and finer. And all you're doing is you're putting in some scratches, then you're putting in more scratches, then more scratches, and then more and finer, in fact, until eventually it's just normal matte plastic. That's the trick of sanding. Think of it that way. Okay, so that now, holding it to the light. Now it's not going to be bare plastic, so it doesn't matter if it's not smooth and shiny. It's not going to be painted with a gloss primer or anything like that. It looks nice and smooth. I've kept the round shape, more or less, a little bit flat spot, but not too bad. I've kept the round shape. I can see, I don't know if you can, but I can see a little fine line where the sprue goo has filled the gap. That's purely because the sprue goo is a slightly different colour to the plastic. It's like a light colour, light grey rather than a white rather than a light grey. So, but it's smooth. I can't feel it. When I hold it up to the light, I can't see a gap. So once that's covered in primer, you'll never know that there used to be once, many moons ago, a gap there. And that's it. That's how easy using sprue goo is. People often ask me why don't I tend to use fillers very often. Because fillers are a faff. You fuss around with them. Either they're two-parters and you have to mix them together, which is fine, but it's a faff. Or they expand or contract when you apply them. Some of the solvent thinners, when you put them in, they fill the gap and then they contract as they cure. And yeah. Also, the other reason is, unlike any other filler, because you're filling the gap with polystyrene, it's 100% as sandable as the polystyrene around it. Fillers, some can be very sandable, like Milliput's really sandable, but they're still a bit powdery compared to plastic. They won't be able to carve them. I could fill a gap with this and then carve a panel line through it with my scribing tool and it would look perfect. So fillers are great. I'm too lazy. I use sprue goo. Not great for massive gaps, but great for small gaps. Anyway, that's that bit done. There's some comments for me. I mentioned above about eModels getting a model for me, says Sarah Jane. Where are we? Did you? I missed that comment, I think. I don't want to go all the way back through the chat, though. Apologies if I missed that. But yeah, if you ever... The thing with eModel, I've seen them order stuff in that they don't normally stock, purely because the customer said, can you get this for me? And of course they can, because they've got all the distributors in place. So just because they don't have something right at the exact moment doesn't mean they can't get it. Mayhem Model Works is in. Welcome, Mayhem. Sorry, folks, I was driving. I got in the dock so I can watch while in the car park. Yeah, don't drive and watch. And then he says, / Boston accent, park in the car park, and Boston accent. You're trying to make me do a Boston accent. You know I can't do a Boston accent. Park the car in the car park near the harbour. I can't do it. I just sound like I've got some kind of brain injury. Park the car in the car park. I can't do it. I know how I want to do a Boston accent. If people are wondering what the hell I'm talking about, for a while I did a Fallout 4 playthrough live stream on a Friday, and it's set in Boston, so I used to try and do a Boston accent, but I can't. I don't sound anything like, John F. Kennedy. I just sound like an idiot. Wow. Park the car in the car park. You kind of have to In the harbour. I can't. Yeah, I know what my brain knows what it's supposed to sound like, but it can't make my mouth do the right things. Afternoon ladles and sporks, says Mayhem as well. Welcome to you. People talking about sports Formula One cars. I have no understanding of such things. No interest in sport, me, so I don't know about them. A massive gap, says Mayhem. Oh, very quick bit of information that'll be relevant to no one at all, apart from Mayhem. Mayhem, that audio mod that I sent you yesterday for Skyrim that I told you about. Yeah, it's not great. It's all right, but it makes the fire sound massively loud. And if you walk past a fireplace, it's like walking past a jet engine. I got rid of it. I took it out. It was too annoying. So yeah, I would dump that audio. It's yeah. Where are we? My friends from Boston, a god-awful sound, says Sarah Jane. Park the car in the car park, David Sanderson says. Are you hanging around the docks? Right, so that's that bit done. We've got that exhaust. Now, if you remember, last time, we glued on this exhaust, but this exhaust is not permanently fixed in place. It is only fixed in place with a tiny amount of super glue, CA glue, so that I can paint it uniformly with the rest of the thing. And then when I come to assemble it, I can pop these off and put the carapace on. So we shall indeed get my back of my head in shot. It's time for more CA glue. Let's all do the CA glue. See if I can glue myself to the bench, or my face, or the bottle, or the camera. I'll glue myself to something. So let us apply this. So basically this sits in here. There, you'll see. People are going to be complaining now. I figured it was a lame duck mod, but Fluffy Khajiit all the happiness. Yes. Yeah, Fluffy Khajiit and all that. We're playing Skyrim, and I've sent in my list of mods, and I've got some mods that make Khajiit look fantastic. Especially one that I've just installed called Pyro Kittens, which makes the Khajiit look actually like cats and not like weird mutant cats. Dexterous Crafter is in. Hello to everyone in chat. Welcome, Nat. Right, so we're going to glue this on. Like I said, this is going to be CA glued, and this is purely so I can remove it later. If ever you want to temporarily fix something, there are two options. PVA glue, if you don't mind waiting forever for it to dry. It's a fairly big, thing. Or CA glue, if it's just a very quick thing that you need to just glue from A to B, just temporarily. So first thing I'm going to do is get some glue out. I'm going to show you this again. Just avoid it blocking up. Wipe off the excess. Bang it on your desk or something solid. Hang on, let me do it over here. I'm banging it down like that with the tissue on the top. It may splooge out some glue for a second, but then you'll be left with a completely clear nozzle. Gentlemen, clear your nozzles. And we'll give that a second. All the glue will run down. And when you put the lid back on, you will not have bungage. It will not bung up, which is always a winner. So I shall get this. We want a tiny touch of glue. And I'll put a little bit of glue in the little recess here. In fact, no, I'll put it on the bead, on the bulb thing. Not a lot, just a tiny amount. Just enough to lightly hold it in place so that when I do get around to painting it, it doesn't just immediately fall off. Hold that for a second and hopefully it will stay on. It might not. I may have not put enough glue on there. It might not be making any contact with the other side. I'm making contact with the other side. To that. Yep, that'll stick. So all it means is that when I come to paint that now, I can make sure it's uniform, the same colour as all. I don't want to end up painting the exhaust and suddenly find that it looks totally different colour to the rest of the hull or to the bodywork. So that just means I can paint it uniformly. But when that carapace goes on, it goes on like that. It sits down like that, plink, but it will scrape the paint off the inside of the exhaust because it's very tight, or it can do. So rather than take the risk, get everything painted, pop these off, carapace on, put the exhaust back on properly with actual glue. And all I need to do is just a little touch of glue, a little bit of sanding to get rid of any big chunks of super glue. And there you go, that's a very quick way. Now, if you're painting figures, you may not have thought of this, but if you're painting, for example, a little figure, let me do a little example for you. Let me get some, where's my nippers? Let's say you had a little figure of some sort. Here's just a random, it's a broken Deathcore of Krieg dude. But let's say I wanted to paint this dude, but I wanted to temporarily stick him on something to paint him, because I'm going to mount him onto something. What you need to do, like before, tiny touch of super glue. Let's cut this stick properly. Hang on. There we go. Let's say I want to mount him onto this stick so that I can paint him. You could drill a hole and stick the stick in, or what you could do is just have a tiny amount of glue on the stick and just stick him on it like that. And what you'd do is, there won't be enough on there for it to stick now, but you'd hit it with some zip kicker and it would slowly glue in place. And then he'll be mounted on that stick then, ready for painting. And then when he's finished, you just snap him off again. I don't think it's going to stick now because I've only just done it, and it's, yeah. I don't think I put that much glue on there. Oh, there you go. But it is. So he'll be on there. I can paint him. Painting. We'll leave him for a minute, and then I'll show you what it's like when you snap him off. It's dead easy. So it's a really good way if you want to temporarily attach something. If you've got a figure and you've got some little bases, if you want to temporarily, like if you were painting Sir Hector, but you had a little diorama you wanted to put him in, you still need to paint him. But if you weren't going to use this base, you could very gently or very lightly super glue him to a base like this. This is glued on properly. You could super glue him to this, get him painted up, and then just snap him off carefully afterwards with the tiniest touch of CA glue. He'd stick to that while you painted him. But that's why it's handy to use the CA glue. I don't like using CA glue, but I do for things like that. What I used to do, it's also handy if you're making anything that goes onto a clear flying base for painting as well, if you've got a few spare flyer bases lying around. I never used to like super glue, and I used to like drill a hole in the bottom of a figure's foot and then jam a cocktail stick in there with some PVA glue. But super glue takes 2 seconds. It's easier to remove. Sarah Jane got to level 25 in Skyrim and lost interest, plus spiders default random encounters all the time, so boring. How can you lose interest? There's an entire world. I've been playing Skyrim for 10 years and I've not lost interest. You need to get all the mods in the world and start improving it. Because all my random encounters, I've got mods that give me loads of extra creatures and things. So, all about the mods. Trust me. Right, so there we go. He's on there. We'll give him 5 minutes and we'll snap him off in a sec. So we've done the cockpit. The next we need to do some work on the Carapace itself, just to get that all nice and neat and tidy. Let's get the bits off the sprue. People needs the Carapace, obviously. Hopefully everything's on this sprue, but we're about to find out. What do we need? This, and it's basically handrails is the first way to go. It's handrail time. There's one specific Canis Rex specific part, which is that one. So that's going to be 28. This bit's cut off first. Anyway, I hope everyone is well. How are you all? I hope you're all good and nice and having a good Friday afternoon. As always, the most important question, Scaly Models, aka Dad, is not in chat, so I shall ask the question for him. The question, of course, is what's on your bench and what's in your belly? What are you having for your dinner? What have you had for your dinner? Depending on where you are. And also, what are you working on right now? What's your current project? Oops. Let's Carapace piece off the sprue first. Currently, at the moment, right now, I'm working on this, of course, right at this moment. However, this week I have been filming my D'Agostini Build Your Own X-Wing, because D'Agostini, who I hadn't heard from since October, upped and sent me the next 15 issues, which is like, yeah, I'm back on. So I've been filming that. The first 5 episodes will go live for the next 3 weeks on my channel. The next 3 weeks, every day you'll get at 1 PM you'll get a video, the next video in the part work each day for the next 3 weeks, every weekday. We need, what do we need? 123, 24, 22, 21. They're all the same, I think. 122, 124. Okay, they're going to be randomly spread around. Okay, they are going to be randomly spread. Let's do these in order, because if they're not all the same, they should all be the same. I think, yeah, we'll just get them off. We'll just get them off the sprue. We'll risk it for a biscuit and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? Foxx. What's the worst that can happen if you just randomly cut stuff off the sprue? Well, let me consider the ways. So, yes, I've been working on the big X-Wing. And dinner tonight is Fox's mess, as always. Fox's mess with turkey mince. Because we've just had some shopping delivered, so we've got all the spuds and onions and carrots and stuff. Make a proper Fox's mess. So we shall have a proper Fox's mess. What do I need? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 4. Need 2 and 3. There's 190. That's 119. I don't need that one yet. Do I? Yes, I need 119, but I'll keep that one separate because that's a different shape. 23. Or is it a different shape? I don't know. 21. So those 4. Snicked. 115, which is that puppy there. These are little handy grabby rails for the princeps when he gets out, so he doesn't just get out and fall. Because he's like, you know, 2 semi-detached houses up in the air. And we need 18 and 17. Let's get all the bits off the sprue now. 18, 17, so there's 17. I'm using my fine nippers now because it's very thin connection points, so I can afford to use them without risk. 118. Now, you know what time it is now. Oh, it's time for ping that across the desk. It's time for delicate twiddly tubes. Yes. Just like the Millennium Falcon all over again, isn't it? Whoa. So, a second. We have all the tubes in the world, so we're going to get these cleaned up. And then we shall apply them. So, ding. Many tubes and parts. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah, no, that's just jinxed it for us. Yeah, probably. I'm back. Hello to William Rayborn. Welcome back, William. La, 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 la. Just opened my packet for an order of the 172nd SMU9 Super Detail set for Das Work, and I seem to have another person's invoice and mask set. Just as well it was going to sit in my stash. Ooh. Do let them know, because they'll have somebody else's stuff. Did you? As long as you got everything you actually wanted, do let them know, because then they can make sure that the person doesn't go without. Mayhem says, I'm about level 12 and I'm having so much fun, but I found that if you tell a follower to wait in one place and try to get them to follow after, they just stay there. No, they should carry on, but the followers are a bit dumb. In Skyrim, they can be a bit dumb. I've got Carjo as a follower at the minute, and when I want to get him round, here's a handy tip for getting people around traps in Skyrim. If there's a trap here, if you go across and avoid it, your dumb assistant will just go straight over it and get killed or injured. So you have to tell them to wait. You have to tell them to do something and go there. You say, go to there, wait there, and you have to wait them. You have to say, do something for me, and you have to say, wait there, then wait there, then wait there, and you have to guide them slowly round the trap. So I do that with Carjo to get around various traps and pressure plates. But every time you say, you command him to wait there, as in wait in a specific place rather than wait where he is, he goes, it will be done. So I was trying to get him around a trap last night, and it was constantly, it will be done, it will be done, it will be done. But he's sweet. I like Carjo. Yeah, so much fun you can have in Skyrim. I mean, if it's not to your taste, it's not to your taste, but I've been playing it for 10 years now almost. And I'm still not bored with it. And I'm still finding stuff that I've never seen before. Also, if every random encounter you get is a spider, it depends where you are in the map, because some areas there's lots of spiders, other ones there's lots of bears. But there are mods to give you more varied wildlife. It's all about the mods. Mods is what you want. So what we're doing, we're just cleaning up these tubes. They have the world's faintest mould line on them, which, to be honest, you can get rid of mostly with sanding. Hopefully I'm on camera. Am I on camera? Almost on camera, Foxx. Well done. I'm just being careful. When you're doing tiny tubes like these and pipes, I find it easier and safer to use a file rather than your sanding sponge. Two tricks. First of all, try and hold it in such a way that it's not going to wiggle. I've got that bit there and this little nub I can hold on to while I sand this little nub here. And follow the curve of the pipe so it doesn't leave a flat spot. No pressure, weight of the file. And then with my sanding sponge, I'm just going in. And again, no pressure, just the weight of it. And I'm following the curve as well. And that gets rid of the nub. The mould line, it's there, but it's fairly faint. So I don't need to get my mould line removal tool. I can just use my knife blade for this. because it's so fine. It's just scraping off, no problem. There's a nub here. Again, and carve it off with the knife first, gently, no pressure, no, just always using the weight of the blade. Go back in. What you want to try and do is hold it in such a way that you're not getting much flex. So try and anchor it so it's not moving much. Here I can hold it by that bit. Hold it by these two side parts. And when you file it, like I said before, don't go like this. You go back and forth, you're putting stress on the plastic and it's doing that, and you'll snap it. Just go in one direction, anchor it with your hand so it can move as little as possible, and go in one direction, like that. That helps reduce any... If it was a tree, it's what you call weigh and tow, when the tree goes like that, backwards and forwards. On this, it's stressing the plastic. If you're filing it like that, it's bending. So don't just hold it at one end and go sanding, 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 because it'll be doing that, and you're stressing it. You've got to try and do it in such a way that you're minimizing the amount of stress on it. I'm going to put these in that because it's smaller and easier to see. Yeah, we've got this one here. Again, gently as I can. Just trying to get this nub. Now this nub's right at the end here, so there's not really any way I can get hold of to stop it wiggling around. So I've just got to be very careful. Make sure you've got backed. Tell you what we'll do. What I will do is I will replace the blade. Can I find my blades? Blade. And therefore, right. We have some open blades. We have open blades. It's panicking time when Fox is doing things with knives. We're all going to die. Right. So let me just swap my blade out. Swap my blade out. Oh, that's starting to... Oh no, starting to snap. That's a bit rum. I don't know if they've got these in stock. These are the Swan Morton scalpel blade removers. If they haven't got them in stock, give the guys a shout. They can get them in stock. I don't know if they carry them, but I'm sure they can do. It's Swan Morton blades, and it's fairly standard. So yeah, if you can get them, it's a good place because A, it's a safe way to take your blades off, and B, it stores them nicely, and then you can just put this in the bin. And I tend to wrap tape around it and say blades inside so people know. Or you can take it to your local pharmacy where they can dispose of sharps, things like that. Have an investigation with your local recycling centre as to what they want you to do with knife blades. Looking left in there. You should always be compliant with your recycling laws wherever you are. Everybody's panicking right now. Oh no, Fox has got blade in his hand. Oh, it's going to go wrong. Well, I got my pliers. Ready? So, never get the blade and push it down because you'll go slip, stab, gouge, bone, bleeding, death. Never a good idea. Be super careful with knives. I'm Captain Stability, trust me. Bench aluminium concentrifier center drilling guides, barrel drive. Yet Candygram's making a thing for drilling barrels out on Warhammer minis or any tubular object. Can't wait to get one of those. Belly will be an Easter roast dinner consisting of pork belly, rashers, roast buds, gravy, carrot, selection of green beans, peas, and Yorkshire pud. Bench Warhammer Conquest scenery. Cool. Where up to? Sarah Jane says Fallout 3 and 4 New Vegas to death, and Morrowind and Oblivion until that game got tedious. I couldn't stand Oblivion. I really couldn't stand Oblivion. When I first tried Oblivion, I'd never played a game like it before, so I didn't know what the hell I was doing, so I didn't enjoy it from that point of view. And then after I played like Fallout 3, my intonation was weird there. After I played Fallout 3, I thought, and Skyrim, I thought, I'll give Oblivion another go. I still got it. Loaded it up, and I was like, no, it's just not as much fun. Okay. There are rumours now. They think they might be doing a remaster of Oblivion. There's all kind of rumours flying around. Secret projects that Bethesda are working on. Now, if it's just Oblivion in 4K with pretty graphics, I'm not really interested because I couldn't start. I didn't like the gameplay. But if it's we accidentally redid Oblivion in the Skyrim engine with all the ways that Skyrim works with and I'll be like, yeah, I'll have some of that. I'll have some of that, thank you. But I'm more interested if they did Fallout 3 in Fallout 4's engine. That would be interesting. Or Fallout 3, at least release it with mod abilities, mod options, so then I can make it look. What else is chat doing? No, Foxx, no photo. It's just his order, so he must have had mine. Email sent. All right, nice one. Okay, Wendy. I mean, the thing is, it's one of those things that occasionally, you know, hiccups will happen with orders and stuff. It's not the end of the world. It's a little bit frustrating, but it happens at the end of the day if it's a human being packing things. And keeping in mind that they're absolutely bombed at the minute with orders and understaffed because of lockdown, so they're not on full staffing anyway. The occasional slip up will probably happen, but I'm one of those people that when that kind of thing happens, there's no point getting angry with it. You know, if you phone up a retailer and get a stroppy with them because they messed up an order or because something went out wrong, it's like they're just going to be like, yeah, I'm not going to help you. I mean, these guys want to help you anyway, but these things happen. Just drop them an email. They'll get sorted. They'll get it sorted for you. It's quite the rarity with these guys. Just by the way, for anybody watching who isn't one of the Monday night regulars or one of my channel members or channel regulars, I don't actually work for eModels. None of the video team at eModels work for eModels. We just make the videos and content for them voluntarily. We just know the guys and we do all the stuff voluntarily, and they're awesome and we love them. Yes. Yes, anyway, Bench Belly, what we're doing. If I've missed any answers, please do let me know. I love Fallout 3 in New Vegas. I wasn't the biggest fan of New Vegas. I loved Fallout 3 because it was my first experience of that kind of game, and it blew my tiny dinosaur brain. It absolutely blew my mind. New Vegas I didn't like so much because it felt really empty. After Fallout 3, where it was like you literally walk down a road and there's like 7 different things you can find on the way, and just when you think you found everything, oh look, there's a door under a bridge. What's in there? Oh look, it's a massive, massive labyrinthian maze at the end of which is a Protectron who thinks he's something to do with the, I don't know, Declaration of Independence, or somebody called Button. I can't know. I don't know. I'm not American, but big long quests everywhere. There was so much to do. Like over 2,000 hours of Fallout 3. But yeah, it's still a great game to play. It's just it doesn't quite hold as much attention as it used to do since, you know, Fallout 4 and Skyrim with the updated controls. If they could re-release Fallout 3 but we're in the Fallout 4 engine, I know they won't, because it's like building a whole new game from the ground up, and they're not going to do that. Although they have just pocketed $7.5 billion from Microsoft, so they could have a team to do that. Then I'd be all over that like a rash. I'd be all over that like stink on a tauntaun. Yeah. Where I'd be. Now, what's little handy rails now? Yeah, I love Fallout. It was my first experience of that kind of... Up until Fallout 3, I was a first-person shooter kind of chud. And that was my jam. But I was constantly unhappy that nothing was as good as Halo. And this is when I used to like Halo, yeah. Nothing came close to it. And then I played Fallout 3, and it was like, whoa, here's a whole different type. I mean, there's a whole world I can just walk around and do whatever I want. Wow. I hadn't seen anything like it. My mind was blown. And Skyrim came out, and I'm like, I had no interest in the Elder Scrolls. I had tried Oblivion when it... if I remember rightly, I got Oblivion free with my Xbox. It was like in a bundle when I bought my Xbox 360 or something, because I don't remember going to the store and buying Oblivion because I had no real interest in Oblivion. I didn't even know what the Elder Scrolls was. I had no knowledge of that at all. So I think I must have got it free with the Xbox or something when I bought it in a bundle and just put it to one side. So I thought I'll give it a try. No. It was that kind of made by a teenager, 1990s, fancy text because that's what we think medieval looks like. That was an instant turn off. I'm like, wow, well, I can't stand the font. It's not a good start. It looks like it's been designed by a teenager who thinks he knows what medieval stuff should look like. This kind of environment and style. And then Skyrim came out, and they were like, you know what, we're not going to pretend to make it look like anything now. It just needs to look stylish. I didn't get on with Oblivion. And then I remember trying to play Oblivion with no concept of the open world bit. And then it got to a bit where, bearing in mind in first-person shooters, the most you ever had to do was walk up and press a button to talk to someone. And suddenly we had this weird emote system where you had to go through this circle of something. I don't remember how it works now. Some weird circle thing. Rotate it round to go through persuade, intimidate. And I'm like, the hell is this nonsense? Could never figure that out. And while you're doing it, of course, the NPC you're talking to, their face is gurning away through different emotions. I'm like, I've got no idea what. I just want to get into this building. I just want to ask this guy a question. Like, what? I'm glad they got rid of that. I still, when I went to do my replay of it, I still couldn't figure that out. I'm like, nope, still don't know what the hell this is or how it works. Bless them. They got rid of that. Yeah. Fallout 3 was like, I can't remember why I got it. Because, again, like with Oblivion and Elder Scrolls, I had no prior knowledge of Fallout. Never played any of the earlier games. Didn't have any concept of the franchise or anything like that. And I remember it coming out, and me, you know, I saw like every other game, I saw all the promotional stuff on the gaming websites they used to hang around in. And, you know, and it must have been about 6 months after it launched that I just thought, you know what? I should give this a try. I don't know why. I think I should. I think it might have been perhaps, you know, maybe they did like a quick look on. I was going to say Giant Bomb, but it didn't exist then, did it? Might have been like might have seen a review of it or something that just tickled my fancy. I'm like, ooh, maybe I should give this a go. I don't know. Anyway, it was around about the same time as Borderlands, and that was quite interesting anyway, so got a bit of crossover there that made me interested. And then the die was cast. My lord. So much time. I was going through a bad time in my life at the time with a really crappy job. I was quite unhappy at the time, so it was a real lifeboat. It was a merciful sort of escape from the workaday world time that I was so unhappy with. I need to blow my nose. Hang on. Oh, sniffles. Camera is on, so sniffles. There we go. Excuse me. Sorry. Oh. Damn broke. Oh, hey, sniffly nose. Ooh. So yes, it was a challenging time for me at that point, and it was a welcome respite from the nonsense of everyday life. I think I've got all the bits off there. So I probably latched onto it as well for that, but yes. Anyway, let's have a look at chat. I don't know how we got into video games. I bought a pit. No, it's mid jumped. Oh. I bought a resin Pit Boy from Fallout 3 kit, but I haven't had time to build it, says Candy Grab. Cool. I never use NPCs to do my head in. Bethesda are rubbish at that. Yeah, well, yeah, the thing is, in Skyrim, having an NPC is almost vital because it doubles your carrying capacity for loot. And of all of them, Lydia's by far the best. But, you know, they're a bit better in Skyrim than they were in Fallout. In Fallout, they were really gorgeous. And Fallout 4, what's his name? Valentine. He's fantastic NPC. But if you've got Skyrim and you get some mods, if you can do mods, get in, you go. La 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 la. Get the emergency service on hold for Foxx with Stabity. Yeah. The belly will be minted lamb chops with homemade chips and honey roasted carrots and parsnips, says Mayhem. Bench is filming the intro video. Cool. So, Jen, I got a game on release, crashed constantly, mostly when going into water. Oh, well, if you got it like 9 years ago when it first came out, of course it's going to be janky and buggy at that point. You should try it now. It's just vastly, the special edition version of the game now is vastly superior. Plus all the mods you can get to fix it. Trust me on that. Where are we up to? Morrowind was my first game, really got into that one despite my character ending up in jail with the first 5 minutes and my friend falling out of his wheelchair laughing at me. Yeah. Belly later, bacon sandwiches at bench looking for a pot of rivets I put down nowhere to be found, says Wendy. You'll find them just when you don't need them anymore. When you've made more, bigger water. Once you've made more, then you'll find them. You always find the thing after you've replaced it with something else. It is the order of things. I think I've been with Skyrim and Fallout 3 and 4. I think I've been spoiled a little bit now that I don't think I can go back to the older Scrolls games, purely because I'm so used to the streamlined Skyrim. I know Skyrim's got its issues, but compared to Oblivion, oh God, you know, it's a joy. And I haven't got the thinking ability to really get my brain around complicated nonsense. Because Oblivion was still the old days of choose all your attributes at the start, and once that's it, you're locked in. By the way, you don't know what any of these attributes mean. Okay. But, you know, the first thing you choose, what star sign were you born under? I don't know. What do they mean? What does each one mean? I want to be sneaky with a bow. Which one gives me? No, I'm not going to tell you that. Okay. Yeah. The beauty of Skyrim is you can start off with some rough idea, but change your mind as you go along. And if you're mostly bows and arrows and you want to take up swords, just start using swords. There you go. Lovely jubbly. Get this little bit cleaned up. The Carapace. That is the knife. That is a knife. Pironotta says hello. Welcome. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to Plastic Nonsense. Brand new blade. I probably will stab myself. Either intentionally or unintentionally. Well, it's always unintentionally, isn't it? Let's be honest. Racing map. And against this other hand, or the other hand. Excuse me, I do apologise for coffee tea on the stream. Coffee, you say? Do with the coffee around about now. Yes, so I hope you are all well and fine. Don't forget, folks, of course, the eModels premises, as announced a few weeks ago, as far as anyone knows, and you know, barring any major changes, is due to open up again on the 12th of April. If you remember, eModels, of course, isn't actually a traditional model shop. Not technically a shop that you go in and look around and browse around the shelves. It's a working warehouse that just happens to have a public trade counter. You can go in and pick up your things or buy lots of things. But yeah, they're opening back up again for the public on the 12th of April. So if you've been itching to get in there, if you live locally or you usually travel there and you've been itching to go back in, then that should be open up again on the 12th. You'll notice for a while there hasn't been any option when you place an order to collect in store or pay when you come in and pay over the counter, purely because legally they're not able to. Of course, them's the restrictions. Hopefully, she'll be back to normal in the next couple of weeks. Yay. Okay, of course, there's a rivet snapped off there. I may have to replace that with my own rivets. Yeah. There's 4 rivets around that vent. I may have to scrape them all off. In fact, I will. That one's also a bit faint. I'm going to scrape them off. Replace them. Replace them with my own rivets, just purely because if I put my own rivet for one, okay, there's 4 rivets. If one of them snaps off, here's a handy tip. If you're able to do your own rivets, Wendy knows what we're talking about here. And one of you lose a rivet somewhere. There's a couple missing there as well. There's been some damage to this bit of plastic. Do some reparations. If it's like 1 or 2 rivets, ideally what you need to do is quickly just replace them, but replace all of them so they're uniform. There's one here that's come off, a couple that I'm going to have to replace, but mine are a little tiny bit bigger, but I'll just have to live with it. Looking a little bit different. There's one there as well. A little bit frustrating. It's always been bashed around in the box, I think. Or I probably just manhandled it like a gormless spoon. Right, let's get these cleaned up. So I'm going to use my removal tool just to keep this edge nice and straight. Oh, there's a whole nub there that I missed. Spoon. Box. Wards, they're curved. Have you seen those warriors from Hammerfell? Swords are curved. Curved. Swords. Curved. Yeah, they're reforming the Dawn Guard or something. I got the line wrong. The joke's dead now. What's wrong, Khajiit? Somebody steal your sweet roll? Ah, Skyrim cut dialogue. Just sand this, I think. I want to try and keep this as nice and neat as possible because it's an edge of the carapace and you do see it. I don't want to make it too scruffy. I will be weathering this. I will be, of course, because it's the Canis Rex. It's not just an other Imperial Knight. It's a specific Imperial Knight with a specific backstory and lore from a specific knight house. I'm not just going to randomly make a paint scheme. It will be painted the correct colours. But I'm going to weather it. It's not shown as weathered on the box art. Warhammer very rarely is. Forge World is often shown as weathered. Although it does have some bizarre weathering on it. It shows a nice clean knight suit with a bit of weathering on one shin, which is very strange. Very weird. I shall obviously correct that. I'll just send these away. Again, as always, no pressure. I'm just using the weight of the sponge itself. That is now nice and almost nice and smooth. Where's my more gentler file? If you want a nice gentle file, this is the one that came in the Mong starter kit. It's actually really good. It's a really nice sort of not too harsh file. Now you see I'm sanding from different directions. Like I said before, we're just covering up the scratches with other scratches and obfuscating them by going in different directions. It helps blend them all together and makes it a nice smooth surface. A little bit of chud though, which needs to just away. Now, of course, when I've sanded that, we will need to just redo those little panel lines because they've sanded down a bit, so I'll sort them out in a moment. We have two here. So I've got to be wary of the rivets. It can be quite tricky sanding or filing these little nubs on the carapace trim away. You want to keep it nice and square, but you also don't want to sand the rivets away. I can replace them if I need to, but if I don't have to, I'd rather do it that way. I'm just very carefully. I'm going in circles to try and make as scratchless sanded patch as I can. If you go in one direction, you tend to get scratches. If you go in little circles, they all blend away into just a rough patch. And all that matters is once it's primered, as long as it's not scratchy, it's a little bit matte compared to the surrounding plastic. It doesn't matter, nobody's going to see that. I think Foxx still has that toad in his throat. Yes. Scraping tool might work better there. Little gentle scribbity. Yeah, if your last time you played Skyrim was when it launched, then go back to it. It's had almost 10 years to improve. Whatever you play it on, just get mods. Just do all the mods in the world. Trust me. Trust your Uncle Foxx. Let's have a look where we're up to. I have swords, says Sarah Jane. I have a German swept hilt Zweihander, two-hander, a gallows glass single-hander, a mattock, a Lochaber, and 5 axes, says Mayhem. You're probably on some list somewhere, aren't you? You'll be on one of the some list at GCHQ, I would suspect. I've got a tiny collection of prop weapons, like from movies. Just like rubber stunt weapons. That I got many, many years ago from auctions when I think there's a company called Stembridge who used to make prop weapons for movies in the film industry. I think they sold a lot of their stock and they went out of business or something, but I can't remember now. It's 20 years ago. I got a load of stuff, and I fear the day if for any reason, you know, this house gets raided by the police. Not that it would do, but if for any reason this house had a police raid or anything like that, they'd be like, they'd just see him and be like, "What? What have I got? I've got a rubber Uzi that was used in the movie Commando. I have an AK-47 from The World Is Not Enough. I have a Franchi Spas assault rifle / shotgun. I don't know what that was in. And there's something else, and it's been in the loft for years. I can't remember what the other one is. But those three, yeah, they're on the wall, and it's like, yeah, I really hope for any reason the police never have to raid this house, because they won't have time to notice that they're rubber prop weapons. They're just, you know, they're molded. What they used to do was they would take the real weapon, take a mold of it, and then make rubber ones, so that when people are running around in movies and like extras and stuff, they're not actually going to damage a real world weapon. Or, you know, you're not going to give a load of extras 100 Uzis. They just will get, you know, rubber ones. A little bit better. Yeah, certainly get some looks. There's a few rivets been pinged off there. They're only little tiny rivets, so there are a few there that have been pinged. I can't tell if they've been pinged or it's just dust from sanding. Let me just wet my finger and we have to do a few little replacements, I think. Sometimes it's just crud collecting around the rivet because you're sanding. And I've just snapped that aerial off. Well done. Okay, we'll have to replace that with something as well. There you go. We can replace that. No problem. Oh. I think I just snapped that. Or did I snap that some other... I'm being a bit ham-fisted. Oh, no, there's the end. There's the end. It fell off. It's only a little tiny thing. I can replace that with something later. We'll figure that out later on. I could put a... You know what I could do for fun? I could give it a whip antenna. Make some kind of whip antenna of some sort. That'd work. Anyway, let's... For the moment, I shall sand it smooth, so it looks like it's meant to look like that. Handy one. Right, so I think that's done. I'm going to check that in the light. That looks smooth. That looks smooth. Nice and smooth. Rough edge around that moulding of the edge there. I'll clean that up. That looks nice and good. That's all right. Sweet. Sorted. So we've got a little bit of remedial fixing to do on that carapace now. I've broken it a few times. Yeah. So what can we do with that? We have little aerial there. What might be easier? I don't want to glue anything on it now, because obviously with the painting and the assembling, I'm going to, if I replace that little aerial now, I'm just going to make more trouble for myself. I think what might be better is to... Don't know. We'll figure that out later. Where are we up to? Rivets will be with you soon, Foxx. Oh yes, Wendy's sending me some rivets. Thank you very much, Wendy. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I have most of the Lord of the Rings swords technically displayed, not real. I have a real Hopi Indian tomahawk and a real Viking sword and a real copy of Musashi's sword, says Sarah Jane. 20 things. The Lord of the Rings swords I got for myself. The Hopi Indian was given to me when I visited a reservation. The others were my friends, which I got from him, but given back when he passed away. Please learn to read chat properly, says Sarah Jane. What did I read wrong? What did I read wrong? Swept hilts, Vaihander, a gallow glass single-hander, a mattock, a lochaber, and 5 axes. What did I say wrong? I don't know what I said wrong. Anyway, let's crack on. So rivets, let me get some rivets. A riveting time. What I could do with that little aerial is trim that away and put my thumb there. Trim that away and drill out a tiny hole, and then I can fill that with something later on. Like a little... That might be an idea, actually. That might be a very good idea, Foxx. Let's do that now, shall we? Right, let's just swipe this across carefully. Go to make a nice flat surface. You're thinking, what are you doing? Heresy, I say heresy. Nonsense. We're going to just quickly get that smooth file. Please learn to read chat. I want to know what I didn't say properly in chat. Hey Foxx, can you measure the outside diameter of the barrels of the gun using your digital caliper for me? Which gun do you want me to measure, dude? Which weapon are you particularly interested in? I need a little thingy tool as well. I can measure anything you want with my digital caliper because I now have a digital caliper. It's not there. It'll be in the draw marked calipers, I suspect. It's only a cheapy one, but it can measure things. Measuring things. I can do that now. I want to measure all the things in the world. Imperial says, très belle vidéo. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Which barrels of the gun? Which guns? Do you mean the stubbers? Like them? Because I haven't got them off yet. They were. To measure it. Or do you mean that gun doesn't have a hole in the end anyway? Or there's that one that I'm not going to be using, but it's not glued together. It's a two-parter. But remember when I get the stubbers out and get them assembled, because I'll measure them for you. The 4 large front-facing barrels on this model, please. 4 large... What? Hey, hang on. Do you mean the 4 large front... There aren't 4 large front-facing barrels. What are you talking about? I don't know. Do you mean on the spinny Gatling gun? You mean on that thing? Or do you mean that thing, which is the one that's 2 halves that I've not put together? Or do you mean... I don't know which ones you mean. I don't know which ones you mean, my dear boy. Drop me a message or a mail, dude, on Facebook, and I'll measure anything for you. But it might mean I have to assemble some bits I'm not going to be using on this build. You know what I mean? Morning, Foxx, and everybody. Oh, do you mean? Oh, hang on. Do you mean the? Do you mean the? What's it called? The Spemulonicus anti-air over the top shoulder thing, which is somewhere. So you've also got the heavy flamer, which has 2 barrels like that, but they're not. They don't need drilling out. Confused now. Don't know which guns you mean. Aren't there 4 barrels on the completed leg assembly? No. There's no guns on the legs. Just legs. Just legs, dude. It just looks like that when it's done. You'll have a weapon in one hand or both hands. There's a weapon that can go over the top, like a Carapace weapon, like an anti-aircraft gun, which you can see there even. But I'm not actually building those because they're not part of this build. But no, there's no weapons on the legs. Legs are just gams. Morning, Foxx and everybody. Edward Landed is in. Welcome, Edward. Hello. Welcome. How are the squishies? We all demand to know how the squishies are. Nothing to measure now. I'll put my calipers away now then. Oh, you got me all excited then with the measuring and things. See, I can measure that. I can tell you that is 29.3 mims in outsideness. See? For many years, I'd never had anything like a caliper, and all I could ever do was like whip out a metal ruler and try my best to figure out how big something was. So of course I got myself that little caliper and I've not had to measure anything yet. It's fantastic, isn't it? Like, you know, having to cut out, say, plastic card to be the cover for a barrel on a Bane blade, and you know, having to do it by eye. Yeah. Ah, my mistake. I meant the top aiming 4 guns I saw on a completed plastic assembly you were holding earlier. In them. Them's exhausts. Squishes are good, said Edward. What am I doing? My brain's just not working at all. Right, I need to get some rivets on there. No, I needed to do something else. I need to clean inside here, don't I? God. You're confusing me now. You're getting me completely confused and confustellated. Get me to do 3 different things at once. I'm a bear with very little brain, you know. I'm not good at doing many things at once. Right, so we'll quickly hack these bits away. Now, I've got to be mindful here that there are... Or maybe there's not. How does that? Minim. Oh, that's in the cockpit. That's right. I was gonna, well, use my words. I was going to say I have to be mindful there's little holes in here where the little pistons for the cockpit cover go. But there aren't. It's actually built into the cockpit, that bit. So don't need to worry about that now. Handy tip, if you've got some UMP sanding sponges, do that to one of them. It means you can get into tight pieces. Well, you can actually get in with the entire sanding sponge. It makes no difference. Never mind. Yes, the exhaust. Can you measure the outside diameter of the 4 exhausts? I certainly can, but they actually, you don't have to drill them out though. They're actually that size. But I'll get my thing out. Hang on. Because guess what? I've got a caliper now, and I can use it to measure things. Look, I've got a caliper. So the outside diameter is 6.7 millimeters. 6.7 millimetrons. And the inside diameter, this is where it's tricky, because you'd have to drill these out, but they're not completely circular. These two are. These have got a slight flatness there, but the top one is, because I can do this as well now. I think I'd never figured this bit out. This one is 5 millimeters on the insiding area. So 5 millimeters on the inside, and dead clever this, 6.9 millimeters on the outside. Or 7 millimeters if you prefer. Okay, now it says 7. They're obviously not completely circular because they've got some raised detail on them. They've got rivets and stuff. But you don't need to drill those out. They actually come as you don't have to do any drilling on those at all. Hey, put that back in there. Most used that scene in ever. You go back there. You go back in there. There we go. Myra, I've been calling them the wrong thing. That's all right. Yeah, you don't need to, they're actually hollow. You don't drill those out at all. That's a handy gadget, says David. Yes, it is. The eModels don't stock that one, but they do stock other little calipers, so do go and have a look. I say I got that because I was doing like little plastic card covers for the ends of the barrels on a Bane blade, and I'm like, having to draw them around and trim them down and file them with my and I thought if I could just measure that. Turns out I got a circle cutting tool as well, which turns out to be garbage, but hey, at least I can measure the size now anyway. Right, what was I doing? Yes, I need to drill out. What I'm going to do is drill this little antenna base out a little bit, because I kind of bust it a little bit with the yeah. And what I'll do later is I will attach I'll make a whip antenna out of like a little bit of filament of some sort. This is never going to be played on the table. It's being built for eModels. It's going to go into their cabinets and then never be touched by human hands ever again. So it doesn't matter if I do a whip antenna. If I would make it, I'll use like a filament from the yard brush or something, or from a clothes brush. A sturdy brush filament will suffice. But if I was making this to be played on the tabletop, of course, I wouldn't really have that option, because that would just get destroyed very quickly. Oh, Candygram. Ooh, $5. Excellent. Thanks for making those measurements, Fox. My pleasure, my friend. Thank you very much. Heatmate will appreciate that $5. Thank you, thank you, thank you. More than welcome. It's the first thing I've actually been able to measure with my new measuring tools. All exciting. I'm going to make a little tiny pilot hole. The thing is, every time I make a pilot hole, it's never in the middle, and then I end up just going off centre anyway. Like that. Just not bother with that. Let's just wing it. It's going to have an aerial on there. We're going to make an antenna out of something. Hey, slipping. Just seeing that coming. Right, again. Moving around. I need some kind of pilot hole, don't I, really? That's not in the middle. Fantastic. So that's now going to misguide my drill bit anyway. Well, I don't like pilot holes. Let's just get this done. Apologies if you can't see. I need to give my seeing priority. Yeah, this has gone horribly wrong. We're going to go into that hole now, isn't it? Let's try. Putting that back a bit more. Putting that back even. There we go. Even the best of us fumble sometimes when it comes to things like this. Ah, right, I'm getting annoyed now. This drill bit doesn't have a point on the end. It has a flat end. Not helpful. Not conducive to it not slipping off. Right. You know what? I might do that off camera because it's far too tricky to get it done on camera. A flat end on the drill bit, which is neither use nor ornament, really, let's be honest. I'll do that later, rather than make you suffer watching me trying to do it. Peter Davies in says, "Are you doing the cockpit, Fox?" Do. Oh yes, oh yes. We'll be keeping the cockpit all unassembled just so I can paint all the bits. But yes, absolutely. Absolutely doing the cockpit. Excuse me. Doing the figures is half the fun. Swig of water. That's quite annoying. Let me try. Tell you what then, let me try. I refuse to give up quite so easily. Except I do give up quite so easily sometimes. Try this one. More of a little tip on it. That's better. That's just doing it without even putting it in the drill. You know, I think that other bit needs to be thrown into the trash. Into the trash with you, sir. Trash, I say. Fortunately, although it's a tiny drill bit, it's actually a bit too big for this pin vise. That can go in there. I don't need a big deep hole. Although I've just drilled all the way through anyway. It doesn't really matter. Because what I want to do is, when this is ready, excuse me, to go for paint, what I can do is, quite simply, get myself a filament from the yard brush or from a hairbrush or something like that, and just get some super, put it in place, get some super glue, put it in place through there, super glue it on there, snip it back, doesn't really matter, and then we can have a whip antenna. I know it's not accurate, it's not correct, but it replaces the antenna that I just broke off. It'll look a bit better. So this will go in there like that. So when he's all finished and done, a lot of that cockpit is going to be not possible to see, and you'll just have a view of the dude. I've not done a lot today, have I? Yeah. So when I get a chance, I don't want to glue anything on now because it'll just get broken off again. So before we get painting, I must remember to put some filament through there of some sort, glue it in place with super glue there very carefully, and just snip it off so you can't see it. We'll have a whip antenna. There you go. Right. Let's replace some rivets. Excuse me. I apologise for coughing. I don't like coughing on stream, but Foxx is absolutely correct. Having a digital caliber makes you want to measure all the things. Yeah, I got them. I was doing my Baneblade fuel barrels, and I had to. So I thought, if I get one of these, I can do all the measuring of all the things ever. And then since I've got them, I've not had to measure anything. And also, the circle cutter I got at the same time is kind of garbage and doesn't really work very well. So there was a bit of sadness. Mayhem says, people, what? Neighbours are having a party, at least a dozen of them. Anyone got a gun to scare the bejesus out of them freaking people? No, but you could call the police because they're probably in breach of lockdown restrictions. I would. La 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 la. So Jane. Talking about Candygram. No, forgot the super chat will be going to eModels. Still my pleasure there. No, absolutely not a problem at all, my friend. You are more than welcome. It's still more than welcome. Nothing at all went wrong with that whatsoever. Pete Mate will love it. Don't worry. A few of you have asked about Pete Mate. He's all right, as far as I know. Oh, remember how we glued that guy to cocktail stick? He's actually broken off because I just pushed it into the side there and it snapped off. Yeah, you can easily snap him off when you've done your painting. So if you're waiting to see what happened with that, there you go. I'll over there now. I just knocked it then and he snapped off. So yeah. Right. So anyway, I'm talking rubbish. I really am talking rubbish. I do apologise. So we've got some rivets to replace. We have to replace one there, which is going to be tricky. There were 4 around this little fan, which we can do. So I think we'll make the 0.6 size. I think these will be too big though, so this is why I took out all 4 rivets around it. There was, I think 2 of them were fine, but I decided to take all 4 out, so at least they look uniform. Otherwise I'd have 2 big ones and 2 little ones and it'd look a bit stupid. So, you know how this works. Riveted time. Now I have thankfully got, I'll just sand it a little bit, but I do have a little bit of stressing on the plastic where the original rivets were, so I can see where they're supposed to go. So I keep burping and all I can taste is hot cross buns. It's excellent. Can you guess what I had for my lunch? Yeah, am I on camera? Yes. A touch of glue, tiniest amount of glue, and done. Next. Also, why is it whenever you open a little pot of rivets that are all lighter than a molecule, you suddenly get the urge to sneeze or cough, which of course would send them all willy-nilly across the landscape. Always the way. Tiniest touch of glue, and bam, there it is. Always good when there's a little bit of stress discoloration left on the plan. I'm just picking them up on the end of my knife in case you weren't sure what I was doing. On that, think tiny touch of glue. Bod. Lined up, and we have, oops, no, pick one up first, your spoon. One more. Nice one. I find it easier to try and just pick them up on the tip of your knife. Don't push the knife into the rivet like really hard. Just literally touch the knife to the rivet until it comes up with the knife. Because if you push really hard, you'll just jam the knife into the rivet and then it'll never come off. So there we go, 4 little rivets. Lovely. Now there's one there. But these might be a bit big. Might look a bit weird. See, we'll put one on and see what happens. And odd. Yeah, I mean, most people probably won't notice, but they do stick up quite a bit, so it's a bit of a rubbish one, actually. I need to... Oh, no, it's fine. I think if you look carefully enough, you'd notice that they weren't the same, but at a glance, they're probably similar enough. You're not really going to notice. Unless, like I said before, most people are only going to see this inner cabinet at eModels. Bong. Oops. I'm not even going to get the chance to look at it close up. But yeah, they don't quite match. So I probably don't want to go too crazy with these because they're not exactly spot on. They're not an exact match, but it just avoids that gap there. There we go. Right. Rivety stuff done. I think that was all of them, was it? I think that was everything. Couple there that... Yeah, there's one there that's a bit vanishy. I think. I'm trying to look around so I can see it in profile. Yeah, there's one there that's a bit vanished. New one on. You almost have to, it's almost like static cling that's holding the rivet to the end of the blade. Like I say, you don't want to jam the blade into the rivet because first of all, it'll deform the rivet. But second of all, that's a really tall rivet. Second of all, it'll just mean that when you do put the rivet down onto the glue, it's not going to come off the blade because it's jammed into the blade. You do it gently enough that it's just literally kind of almost static cling holding it together. And chances are when you touch it to the glue will have enough viscosity just to pull it away from the blade. If you're lucky. I find it quite relaxing though, I really do. Like chill doing rivets. I think that's all the ones we need to do. It's kind of a very tall rivet, but I can gently try and squish it down a bit with some sanding later. I think that will suffice. Let me just check that other rivet. Yeah, the one next to it's a bit small. Do that one as well. We'll just carve it away. Get a nice flat surface. And then we'll do the same again. One more. Pink. To the glue. I love doing this. I don't know why. I just find it kind of relaxing. That one's not going to sit flat, is it? Oh yeah. I don't know why I find it so zen and relaxing. And it wasn't until my friend Kenneth sent me these rivets that he made that it opened my eyes to actually doing little bits of plastic card work and some custom builds, or some like, you know, custom modding and stuff. Because I'd always avoided it until this point because I hated it. But doing these was so fun that I'm like, oh, you know what? I want to put plastic card bits on everything now. I'm not quite like Festa 67's workshop. I'll make Colin, who can like take a Bane blade and put all the guns on it. Where are we up to? Rivets look good, says David Sanderson. Jolly good. Will look great painted up, says Peter Davey. Thank you. They do look a bit bigger, but once it's painted and weathered, nobody will notice anyway. You need another 2 rivets there where you were pointing. That's the one. Those 2. Yeah, they're kind of symmetrical as well, which is weird. Now, here's the thing. If you're building the Carapace weapon that sits on the top here, handy tip, that is about exactly the right size for one of the tiny little magnets. On the other Imperial Knight I did, I put a magnet in there. What you need to do is put a little bit of plastic card there to cover that hole. And you can just drop and glue a magnet in there. And then attach one to your Carapace weapon, your Hellstorm, whatever it is. And you can just go, and you can have a magnetized Carapace weapon then. There are magnets that are just about the right size for that hole. Just make sure to backfill it with a bit of plastic card. Right, more. We have handles and things to do. Big of water. It's an hour and a half, and I've cleaned up one exhaust, and I've not done much. Yeah, shut up. So, we are gluing. Sounds like a really crap song from Mike Oldfield. And we have these 4 handly ones to do, and the big one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the big one. Now I think all the little single grab rails should be the same size and shape, and also need to make sure we get them the right way around. I will need some tweezerations for these. And they are supposed to be which way round? I think this way. They have a slight angle to them in two directions. And then they fall off. They angle forward. And they angle to the side. So I think it's that way, I think. And apologies if you can't really see much. The instructions aren't particularly clear. I think it's that way around. And all you can see is the back of my hand right now. Not ideal. I think it is oriented like that. I think. Not really clear, but I think that's the right way around. No, touch of glue. Notice how I didn't glue that, by the way. I just put it in place first. And then the tiniest touch of extra thin. Done. This is why you want extra thin, people. I mean, not extra thin people. That's weird, but this is why I want extra thin people. Because it allows you to do things like this. Couldn't otherwise do. That way around, isn't it? This is the beauty of extra thin. If you were putting like little dots of glue on plastic here, like with the fat cement, you'd have made a right mess of this by now. Yeah. Because it's not easy being green. And one of the things that puts a lot of people off, a lot of people are put off by painting because they think they can't paint. Yeah. Come here, come back. They think they can't paint, and maybe they've painted with some bad products, and they've painted with stuff in a way that stuff's not meant to be painted with, and they've had basically a bad experience. That's the wrong way around. And because they didn't know otherwise. So it's in the same way with assembly. I've seen people through no fault of their own try to assemble something, and they've used like extra the regular Tamiya cement. Still the wrong way around. Or is it? Gosh darn it, Foxx, he said politely. Which way did it? I've forgotten which way around the other one was now. It's been so long. I think it was that way. Maybe it wasn't. I'm getting confused now. I'm getting frustrated now because I keep putting it in the same way each time. Right, I think it was that way. There we go. Yeah, so they'll try and. I don't want to put any glue in there in advance because I don't want to get it the wrong way around and then make a mess trying to get it out again. Finally. Glue. Yeah, so I'll see someone trying to make some like little tiny. They'll make a model and they'll think they're rubbish at making models because they've tried to glue in some tiny little detail with big fat cement, and of course it's come out looking like absolute garbage because it's just a mess, because they've had to fiddle around and move things about, and it never ends well. So if you're a new builder, you're not that experienced, get your Sen from Tamiya Extra Thin. Trust me, it will change your life. Really will change your model making. It won't change your life. It won't literally change your life. You're not suddenly going to find like that. You suddenly find yourself married and happy and rich because you used Extra Thin. No, that's silliness. But you will find suddenly you can go to the bull. You can make things without making a mess. It's just you've never known how. I spent many years using like tube glue or Revell contactor glue or whatever the glue of the day was, with the little metal applicator or Tamiya thick glue. I didn't know better. I did not know better. But the day I discovered Tamiya extra thin, I was like, oh, wait, what? What is this now you're telling me? There's there. Yep, just double checking. Last one goes in perfectly like a dream, of course, with no problems. Because of course it does. You need to have enough glue on the brush to touch it in so it locks into place there. It sucks into the gap. So they're all lined up. There you go. And of course, in reality, if you're building these for the tabletop, they're only going to be seen from 3 feet away. Nobody's going to get that close to them. You don't need to be this like finicky about handrails and stuff. You can just blop them in. It doesn't really matter. But I can't do that. It's against my better nature to do that. Not the way this puppy rolls. Are you putting them in first before glue? Oh yeah, we talked about that. Yes. Because they can just sit in place. There you go. That one there, and then just touch, touch. Don't need a lot. If you put a lot of glue on the brush, then it'll go and make a blob of glue and run off down the side of the carapace. Just need enough that when you touch it there, it'll suck into the gap. And that's it. That's your lot. William Rayburn, I've got to go. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you for coming in, William. Thank you for hanging around, my friend. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Be good, and if you can't be good, charge. Vamp is in, apparently. Oh, yes. Where? You never notice when people come in. Oh, there she is. Vamp says, ooh la. Yes. Tis true, lol, Hoyas, Mahim, and Sarah Jane. Okay. And the day you discovered Tamiya extra thin quick set was the day your nose fell off. Oh, God, yeah. Yes. Extra thin quick set is fantastic, but it smells so strong. It's a heavy industrial smell, trust me. Right, so this one. A little recess there, little receptacle bit. You can't really see a little ring shape. That's the bit that goes at the front here. Like that, you see? As that sits in there, thusly, like that. Then this one goes into it. That's how these two line up. Like that one sits in that little sticky out bit. So again, not always. Now it isn't always possible to do this. We're just lucky with this knight that when you put these handrails in, I mean these ones will fall out if you move it around much, but they tend to sit in place. But this one, once you put it in, it just stays there. Unless you like tip it upside down. Put your glue to that joint there, tiniest amount. Bit there. I'm actually learning, and I've always been. I know how you're supposed to use extra thin, but I do tend to go a bit overboard with it and just slap it everywhere. I'm learning, and I'm forcing myself with this build to use less and less, just touches. Because if you watch Ted building stuff, he literally goes boop, and that's it, and a molecule goes in, and everything's glued together. Where I'm like slapping it on, but I'm doing it correctly, but I'm still getting a bit generous with it. And there's a big nub there I didn't notice. Oh, God damn it! Look at that. Got to try and get this off now without snapping off all the rivets and things that I've just. Oh, there's always one little nub that you don't notice. Look at the nobularity. Oops. This is meant to be a metallic silver detail or gold detail. I can't remember which. I need to make sure this does get sanded down nicely. Oops. Yes, I will be painting it the official colours, like I said, because it is a specific vehicle. It's like painting. It'd be like painting the Batmobile a different colour, or painting. I don't know. I can't think of an example now, but it's a specific one-off single vehicle in the Warhammer universe, so you need to paint it the right colours. But I will be weathering it, which is what you don't normally get. Oddly, if you look at the box art, the whole thing is kind of nice and clean. It's still got a little bits of shading on it, but it's not dirty, except this decal on the shin here, which is all chipped and worn away. For just no reason at all. I mean, there's a reason for it, but then they don't reflect it in this flag or anywhere else. And in reality, of course, that's how big a person is. You're not going to have a lot of dirt and dust higher up than that. But we're going to do some weathering on it. These things are hundreds of years old. They need to have a bit of beating going on. Now we need to put some handle there. So we have handle number 119. I deliberately didn't get this one off the sprue because I knew I'd confuse it with the other ones. Get a race car instead, says Sarah Jenkins. Davidson said he might get a knight. He's got some Games Workshop vouchers. Or get some orc. Davidson says, from Games Workshop, I don't think they do them, unless it's an orc chugger wagon. Yeah, get the shock jump thingy dragster. That's the wrong sprue, isn't it? Shock jump something dragster. That looks like a Formula 1. It doesn't look like a Formula 1. It does a little bit. But it's an orc vehicle, so yeah. In the camera, I do apologise. Yeah, so one little tiny handrail side. So I know I've not done a lot today, but I've been going slowly. I'm teaching myself, and this build is kind of part of the process, but I'm teaching myself patience. Because as I've always said, and you guys are getting bored of me saying this now, I'm a painter, not a builder. And sometimes the building part of the process does bore me. It doesn't hold that much interest for me. Apart from Games Workshop stuff, because actually I like building Games Workshop stuff. This isn't the first night I've built, and it won't be the last, because I actually enjoy building them. But I'm using this build to teach me patience. And the same I did with the Millennium Falcon as well when I did that for eModels. Because it's not just one of my own builds that I can just stop doing if I get bored. I've got a commitment to do it, so it's a good point for me where I can say, right, okay, let's crack on, but let's take our time and just proceed slowly and enjoy the experience. I'm trying to get myself to enjoy the building. I always do a little bit with Games Workshop anyway. Like if this was a Revell kit, I would not be a happy puppy. I'd be like, slap it together, don't care, get it done, get it out the door. This one, same again. This one's going to go on that bit there. Probably get it in without the tweezers. Like a glove. Just sit like that. You do need to make sure you get the right ones, because they are actually chiral, as in this part 119 is oriented the other way around to the others. In its angle of dangle. Because it's on the other side. Perfectamundo. There we go. Lovely, lovely. There you go. Lots of handy rails. Now, I do actually have a whole selection of handrails from other vehicles and things that I could add to this if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. Because again, it's not just a bog standard grunt suit. It's an actual vehicle. And last but not last, we have this little beauty here, which is the Canis Rex mark on the front. That sits there. So what we can do with this one is snicked it into place. I can put a little bit of glue in there. Nice big fat recess. Normally it's an Imperial eagle that goes there. And Aquila. But because this is Canis Rex, he has his own little scroll, bit of scroll work on there. Touch it around this eye just so it sucks underneath the plastic. Think about Ted. What would Ted do? Yeah, so in order to make myself more chilled out when I'm building and less messy, I've started to think, WWTD, what would Ted do? Lovely, lovely. So we've done that bit. Yes, I can scratch things off. We've done that one. We've done that one. We've not put the cockpit in. We're not putting the cockpit in anywhere near in. Like, no, that's not happening. Because if I put the cockpit in there now, how would I even begin to paint the interior of the cockpit? If I was able to get the cockpit in without being a complete simpleton, if I was able to not be a complete, there we go. Yeah, if I was to put that in there now, how would I actually paint that? You wouldn't. You know, don't do that. I guarantee you, if you go and look at like painted Canis Rex models, there'll be at least 2 or 3 where they've put that in and they've just sprayed the base colour and just not tried to paint it. But no, we're painting these. We'll be painting that. We'll be painting the back of the seat of the Throne Mechanicum. We'll be painting Sir Hector in his seated position. We'll be painting him in his walking position. I'll be painting the side panels separately and gluing those in. Yeah, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to film it because it's tiny and filming tiny bits is hard, but we'll see. Now, we have to assemblate the door. I want to be a door. So we need parts 21, 20 and 116. Now, I don't know how this is going to go together, but we shall find out. That is a door. Now, theoretically, what I could do, if you were clever and had some building skills, you could drill that out, because that's supposed to be like a little window, a little viewing port for the pilot, for the Princeps. You could drill that out and replace it with clear plastic, or even plastic, even if you use your words correctly, so you could see into the cockpit when the door was closed, because at the moment it's just a solid thing. But yeah, we're going to have the door open and you just see a bit of plastic sponged on the back there. It wouldn't look very good. Also, I don't have those kind of skills. I'm not that. I don't do ept, I do inept. You know that by now. We'll get part 116 ready. We also want, what did it say now? Parts 21 and 20, which are going to be, if you remember on this kit, there is a single specific sprue for the Canis Rex, because this is the bog standard Imperial Knight Warden kit with the extra sprue. So the parts, this is on a standard sprue. The parts for the opening Carapace pistons will be, of course, on the extra sprue, because these don't come with a regular kit. 21 and 20. I'm kind of hoping there'll be a way to not permanently fix this in place. Now, like I said before, though, of course, it is going to. I'm going to drop it on the floor for a start. Yeah, it is going to be on display at eModels and never go anywhere, so I don't need to actually worry. I can just glue the cockpit open if I want to, but it'd be nice to have the option for myself for future knowledge. Cleaned up. Adorable, says Mayhem. There's only 2 cars I would do first, the Renault R26 Formula 1 and the Renault RS01 GT3. I should say Renault, really, probably not Renault. So British, it was a Renault. No, it was a Renault. Or a Trabant. Do you mean a Trabant? Oh yeah, I like a Trabant. Not a real one, obviously. I was going to say, yeah, you could rat rod a Trabant, but it already is because it's a Trabant. So, chat's moving around. Don't ever underestimate a larder, David Sanderson. Those are like tank versions of streetcars, says Vamp. Oh yeah, they were terrible, but there's a certain charm. I remember many years ago when I was a wee lad going to myself and my friend, and this was very brave of us because we were only like about 15 or 16 at the time. We went on a day trip. We got on the train and went to the NEC in Birmingham for some car show. And this is in the mid-80s. And this is dead brave. It's only been a couple of years since I actually started going into, my local town by myself without my parents. So, I don't think by this point I'd actually even been to Manchester myself. But anyway, I got on the train, went to Birmingham car show, the NEC. And I had no interest in cars at the time, to be perfectly honest with you. No interest in cars. But it was going to be good fun. And they actually had, one of the exhibitors was Larder. And I've still got somewhere the brochure, because we collected all the brochures and stuff from all the stands. And I think it was the early days of like the Sierra and stuff like that. But the larder stand, I've still got the brochure somewhere, and it's amazing because in my life I had never seen up to that point. I had never in my life seen a larder that was clean for a start, and not just battered and knackered, like a showroom fresh larder. It was quite good. It was like, wow, that's looked quite good when you see them clean and not like just battered and knackered. And it was quite funny because we came back with a lot of brochures and stuff, and it was quite amusing to read all the brochures because they list all the things like air conditioning, electric windows, power stick. And larder was like, we have glass in the windows. What do you want? Tires on wheels? Yeah, this right. You have indicators for both left and right. Yeah. Yeah. Great. There was a Yugo stand as well, again, to show you how long ago it was. It was just so funny to see, like, compare the extras for like the larders, the regular manufacturers. Like the extras really were like, you know, optional extra, real leather, or you know, optional extra was a different color of vinyl on the seats. I think one optional extra was like actual windows you could roll up and down on the back doors. I don't mean electric, I just mean literally. Having up and downable windows on the back doors was an option. Love it. Optional extra, 2 speakers. Yay! It was great. It was just weird to see them. I've got fond memories of seeing them actually like in shininess. Oh, that was a long time ago. That mid-80s that was. I didn't have any interest in cars, but it was my mate did, and it was a fun day out. My buddy Mike was all up for it. I'm like, yeah, I'll come with you. Why not? Okay, so that is never going to be seen on that edge. It's good to actually have a bit of roughness on here because that's what will glue to the door. So what happens is these two bits go together. Oh, I see. I understand now. This bit here, this little clampy bit, that's the pistons that hold the door together. This actually represents the inside of the little viewing port. Also represents no real way to put it together without a wing and a prayer. So you've got, I don't know if you can see what you see on the inside there. It's got like the inside of the viewing port on the outside. It's got the inside of that. I've just pinged it over. So what you'd need to do, you need to get this door cleaned up first of all, Fox. That's what you need to do. With those, clean the ends off. Very carefully clean this trim on the door. If it's going to be open, it doesn't really matter too much, but I want it to look neat. Sometimes GW put their nubs in the best places, really good, and sometimes they put them in the most inconvenient places. These are not too bad, but they could be better. Right, so we'll get that sanded. Look at the sandularity. There. See in the back of my hand right now. Apologies. There's my gentle file. Gentle file is a bit like being like delicate flames, you know what I mean? So that's there. Do a bit of clean up. Now the tricky bit I can see here is going to be coordinating these, because these two don't have any kind of locking or pin device. It's just literally you put them together and they just happen to fit sort of together. But they do lock into cockpit when the cockpit is in place. But you also need to this is where it gets a bit tricky now, because they lock into this is going to get interesting now, because I need to line them up with the bits that they go into, which are the side walls of the cockpit, but we're not actually got the side walls of the cockpit installed because we can't do that yet. So that has to go there. That on that side, that goes there like that, on the side. And that little bit there is where the cockpit piston locks in. But I can't attach these yet. I have to get some putting with some blue tack, I think. I can't attach them yet because I want to be able to paint them because they've got instruments on them. Yeah, challengey. Everything's challenging. Right, so I've put some blue tack down there. Squish it in place. It's only a temporary bleb, but hopefully I'll hold that in place for a little bit. A bit of time. Enough time for me to stuff done. That goes on that side there, I think. Again, we'll put some blue tack on there. Apologies if you've seen the side of my head while I'm doing this. Stick that in place. Oops, that was not good. I don't want to super glue these in place like as a temporary fix, just because they're flat surfaces, and that might be tricky to clean up once you take one. You could get them out again, they'd snap out of place, but the trick then is you've got to try and get any super glue residue, if there is any, from inside here on a flat surface. It's not that easy. That's there. That's going to sit like, just need to temporarily do it so I can line everything up. That's going to sit like that. What I can do there is some tapage. That will go in there. I'm going to be careful now not to dislodge all the handrails and things that I've just glued on. That would also be annoying. That needs to get... That might be easier with blue tack, to be perfectly honest. Oh, no, don't put your hand on there, you spoon. Oops. Let's get some more blue tack on there. Sorry, I'm doing it off camera. I do apologise. I'm trying to be really careful not to press down any handrails that I've just installed. Back here. It needs to last a minute. Just long enough for me to... Have I got it lined up correctly? Just long enough for me to put this together. So this apparently locks in like this. That sits there, and that one sits on the other side. So because I want to not necessarily glue it into place now, I'm going to have to do some real fidgety stuff to get this to work. I'm not quite sure I'm going to do this, because these don't stay in place by themselves. It's not going to lock into place when I put it there. It's just going to fall out. I'll somehow need to glue it together somehow. What the heck? That goes in there like that. So you can have it closed, you can have it open. That sits in there like that. If there was a locating pin here, it would be easier to just glue that in. But there isn't, and I can't do that. So this is a bit tricky. I'm going to put some glue on there. I'm going to wing it and see what happens. That like that. Just enough to make it stick for a second. Get away with it. I would have got away with it if I hadn't been for them darn kids. Something on that. Probably not the best way to... I'm sure people are probably in chat shouting at me right now, but I can't be looking at chat at the moment. So what I need to do now is... That now needs to sit like... Like that. Like that. Okay, just that way around. Need it to stay in place for a moment while I push them in somehow, carefully. Tricky bit now. I've got to kind of coordinate these, and they're just going, I know they're just going to fall apart. Yeah. Frustrationings. It's almost there. He's just trying to grab it in such a way that it's not going to just explode. Check again. That goes there like that. That will sit like. You have to get it the right way around. If I do it that way, it's gonna be facing the wrong way. So I think it's that way. Because I've got some play in them. But this is frustrating to watch, isn't it? Right, there we go. There we go. There we go. That's in. I think. Might not be the right way around. Let's try that way around. No. No. Why did I choose to live stream this? Right. Why do I always choose to live stream the worst bits? The tricky bits. Right, that's in. There we go. Right, so that sits like that. This door will go like that. That will fall out. Yay! Just need to line them all up. And then once it's all done, I can pop it back out again. Assuming I've got this the right way around, I don't even know. Really quite tricky to do. Really wish I wasn't doing this on a live stream. Hey, don't break things. Are you feeling my pain and discomfort yet? Oh, this is so frustrating. I can't line up the parts without knowing they're exactly the right way around, because I need them to line up. It needs to go like that, basically, except not like that. Oops. Go like. Scaly Models is in. Dad from Scaly Models. Hey, Dad. It's that way. Not like that. It's the other way around. Sit like that. Basically. But I need to be able to line up where on the thing it actually sits. I think it probably. Let's just tell you what I'm going to do. I think it sits there. Let's touch the glue to it. A little tiny bit. Let it stick for a second. A little tiny bit. And what we can do, hopefully, get that on there. That on there. The wind is with us. There. Yes, huge success. Right, so that is in the right place just about. Oh, that's tricky, that was. Super tricky. What I need to do is get it out again. Make sure it's all lined up. Get it properly glued down. So it ain't going nowhere, no nothing neither. That's tricky, that, because if you do that the wrong way, if you get that in there but you have it facing the other way around, then your door's it's not gonna look right. It would actually sit at the wrong angle. So you need to glue them two halves together, but without the door as a frame of reference. Oops. It's really hard to know if they're lined up right. That was really, really tricky. But there you go. That's the canopy glued in place. So if you're gonna drill out that little porthole there, the viewing hole, you'd have to drill out that bit as well. Now, just to put some clear glass in there, some clear plastic or something. Super tricky. Foxx, just line it up with the port on the door, says Edward. You can, but you can't see where the port is exactly. Yeah, that's why I kind of just fudged it by looking at the side, because you can't. There's no markers. You have to just kind of guess. We got there in the end. Now it is a shame they haven't built it with a closing mechanism. That would have been kick-ass, like proper Bandai style, but we'll take what we can get. I'm not going to glue that on at all. I'm going to leave it for a minute just to do some curing, and I'll take the cockpit back out and I'll take that off, and that can be sat there separately then. Make sure it's lined up straight. Is it lined up straight? Yeah. Again, it's going to sit in the display cabinet for all time, so it's no biggie. That was quite frustrating, quite fiddly. What I need to do now, of course, is clean up the little gap on the frame around it. There's a little gap on the frame, but I can't squeeze it together now because it's all assembled. Let me just... Can we do any... oh, we've actually got some glue squeezed out anyway, so if I do a bit more, we can sand that back later. Let me push them together. Glue to squeeze out. We can sand that flat. There's a little ridge line down the middle. Whew, that was frustrating. Right, let's put that back in there. We'll just let it sit. Come back to that in a bit and take it off. Right, so whew, that was a little bit stressful there. You often get that with builds. You get bits that are tricky to do, and it would be helpful if they just put, for example, just a single locating pin. But the problem is, of course, I'm going to say put a single locating pin on the inside of the door, but the problem is the door isn't part of the Canis Rex kit. The door is part of the default Imperial Night Warden, which doesn't have any reason to have a little mark on the inside. So then they can't retool the Imperial Night Warden in its entirety just for one little nub. So I understand why there's nothing in there. Kind of a bit frustrating. They could have just, it would have been easier if they put a new door on there, a separate door to use for that, but that's fine. We can live with that. That looks pretty good with the canopy open, though. I do like that. So we'll put the tape away. Where are we up to? So Scaly Models in. Hey, Dad. Scaly Models, of course, is one of your moderators in chat. You're now moderated, which means no messing in chat. You can't mess around now. Go. Just catch up with chat really quickly. Where are we up to? I'm just going to catch up with chat now. What were we to? People talking about Romania. Dad says hello. I can hear non-verbal frustrating, says Peter Davey. Yep. Little noises that aren't swearing, because I can't do swearing. Please do not swear. We are live on Channel 4. Please do not swear. We're saying hello to Dad. Okay, there we go. Right, so what's next? To quote President Bartlett, what's next? Next is marking off that door bit. That's that bit. So you can have the door open or closed, but you can't have it either. Of course, if you had a spare door, you could have it not glued in place, and then you could have it just like magnets, but you don't get more than one door, unfortunately. Now, the next step would be to... Okay, next step is we need to not put this on here. The reason I was saying before, by the way, I'll show you in a minute, about why we've only gently, lightly superglued those exhausts on is because of the Carapace. I'll show you that in a bit. But for the moment, I'll put that over there safely in the corner. So what's next? Next, we have to do the tilting shield and the multi-laser that goes on the side. And theoretically, we would have this piece of armour under the bonds around the chest region, but we're not going to do that. So let's build the tilting shield first. So we need some parts. Now, part 140, the shield itself is specific to Canis Rex, so it's on the Canis Rex sprue. Again, he has his own tilting shield. It does look very much like the Space Wolf symbol. It's not meant to be. I assume there's no actual connection between House Cerberin and Adeptus Astartes that are the Space Wolves. It's probably just they're cheaping on the design a bit and keeping it nice and simple rather than making it too complicated and having to design something brand new. We also need part 86 and 87 and 140. 86 and 87. Okay, so standard parts. With the standard kit, the tilting shield you get is just blank. We've got the one with puppy dog. That's the one for Canis Rex with the nice puppy dog face on it. So we need part. Oh, by the way, as well, when we put that little bit of finery on the front of the carapace there, is that straight? Yes, it is now. That replaces the standard kit, which has the option of an Aquila, the Imperial Eagle, or this little bit, the skull with some fancy stuff, or you also get the Cog Mechanicum if it's an ad mech Imperial Knight. So we also get lots of purity seals which haven't stuck on yet, but we'll get there. What do we need? We need 86, 87 and 140. So there's 86, 87. 86, 87. I'm just taking a big chunk out of with my clippers, and 140. There's 87. 86 is there's 140. Get that bit off. I'm a bit disorganized. I don't know why I'm a bit disorganized today. I'm a bit disorganized today. 86, 87 and 140, which is 86 is the. There we go. My cutting things off sprue noise is. I don't know why. Has everyone out there seen the trailer for Bad Batch? For the Bad Batch, the new spin-off series from Clone Wars. Looks good. I'm rewatching the Clone Wars at the minute. I've got Disney Plus, so I can actually watch the Clone Wars in actual 1080p for the first time. So I'm having fun watching through the Clone Wars because I love the Clone Wars. The animated series, not the movies, of course, because they're just garbage and don't exist. But yeah, it looks good, man. It looks really good. There is a trailer, if you haven't noticed. If you haven't, I don't know where that went. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out on the YouTubes. Don't do it right now, because obviously right now you need to be here watching me do things. That's what we need to be doing right now. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Nubs here. I love the idea that the knight has a tilting shield, like, 40 foot up in the air. I think it's more just heraldry rather than a practical tilting shield, but still. What does tickle me is that in the lore of 40k, Imperial Knights were originally designed to be to either protect colonists on new colony worlds from, this is, tens of thousands of years before 40k, before the collapse of mankind and the attack and the war with the Men of Iron. They were designed for new colony worlds so that they could do tree clearance, assuming there'd be trees on the planet, land clearance, and to fight off dangerous alien life forms on planets like animals and stuff. Design these massively tall things, and yet they made them look like Imperial Knights, like at knights, with tilting shields and visors. And it's like, if this was supposed to be the golden age of man, where man was traversing the cosmos and making colonies everywhere and stuff, why would they make them look like knights of ye olde times with knight-like helmets and tilting shields and that? It's quite amusing, really. Why would they make them look so anachronistic, is what I'm trying to say. This is a society that can build AI so powerful that they can can end up at war with them, and it can destroy almost all of human society virtually all overnight or over a period of time. And yet at the same time they make these big lumbering mechs look like knights of old. And they have knight houses with nobles. All quite charming. Apparently as well, in the lore, what you'll often find is a lot of these knight houses will be on agricultural worlds or farm worlds, and some of them will be real feudal worlds where, apart from the fact they've got these lumbering 40-foot tall mechas, and the technology, them like kind of feudal Middle Ages worlds where it's all like primitive and Iron Age and stuff. It's quite bizarre. But it's the thing I found fascinating about the lore of 40k, and this is where it gets into a bit of a mind thing, is the idea is that, of course, humanity had this empire, galaxy stretching empire for many thousands of years, many thousands of years, traveling the stars, colony worlds everywhere. They were the dominant species in the Milky Way. And then the war with their own artificial life forms, their own robots and AI creations, called the war with the Men of Iron, brought them to their knees and just destroyed every civilization, to the point of most of the human colonies and territories were just reduced to like a post Stone Age level of technology, and have slowly crawled the way back to the point of, the mid 30th millennium. But the idea is that slowly over time, the Emperor of Man rebuilt human society and then started to go and find all these colonies that have been lost, because with the various other reasons I won't go into because it's far too complicated. They lost contact with like thousands and millions of human colony worlds, some of which remained as they were, some of which were reduced back to primitive Stone Age times, some of which whatever. But I love the idea that they're going around, they went on this great crusade to try and find all these lost colonies, and it took them thousands of years, the Emperor travelling around. And the idea that, this planet could be living quite happily, and suddenly the Imperium of Man turns up and says, join us or we'll just trash your planet. It's kind of what they've said. And, they did. But it's what makes it interesting is this concept that there's these millions of worlds that may not even remember ever being connected, because when they lost the ability, for various reasons, they lost the ability to travel through the warp and travel, beyond, faster than light, their sort of pseudo FTL drive. When they lost that ability and all these worlds were isolated again, some of them may not have even remembered that they ever had connections to other worlds. And it's like a fascinating thought of, imagine, like, if today, it's not going to happen obviously, but imagine if at some point some spaceship comes to Earth and they say, yeah, you're a colony, we all used to be hang out together, but we've been separated for like 60,000 years and you've forgotten your origins and we're your brethren. You'd be like, whoa, what? Because some of the colonies were like just reduced back to agrarian societies. They will have lost all knowledge of technology and all knowledge of potentially their history. So it'd be like aliens turning up that just happen to look like us and say, hey, you're actually from this planet over there. You didn't. It's obviously nonsense, but it's a fascinating thought experiment. What would it be like, to be this colony world that didn't even know it was a colony world, and suddenly this army turns up with massively advanced technology saying, you're a former colony of Earth and you need to join us or we'll just wipe you out. Fascinating thought. Obviously we're not colony world from some other species out in space, but it's a fun thought experiment. What if some advanced human-like species turned up today and said, actually, we have the same origins, you've just forgotten all about it? That would certainly mess things up a little bit for some people. It'd be funny to watch. Who knows? What's chat doing? Paul Di Tommaso's in. Hey Paul, welcome my friend, welcome. I'll be saying hello to Paul. But then imagine if we're sat here today, suddenly all these spaceships come down and they say, hey, you didn't develop on this planet, you actually came from this other planet billions of light years away or whatever, thousands of light years away, but we've lost contact with you for the last 20,000 years. Also, we're completely evil and we suck. And you'd be like, oh great, that would suck. Finding out you're a long lost colony of a species who are actually really nasty, horrible. That would not be great. If they turned up and said, hey, we're brilliant and we're really peaceful and we're going to teach you how to do all the cool things like fusion and cure all the disease, and be like, yay, happy times, everything's fixed. Let's solve your problems, yay. Or they could be like, hi, we're the evil galactic empire and you're just screwed now. You'd be like, oh, fudge. Thanks. Getting up round the edge of this tilting shield. Nice and clean. I will recommend that if you like, you know, decent stories and you like complex backstories and lore of things, I can't recommend enough. Just taking it, even if you don't have a plan on playing the game and don't really like the models, take a time one day just to look into the lore for 40k, because it is absolutely fascinating. It's so in depth beyond any reasonable measure of what it needs to be for a tabletop game, and yet it's this insane in-depth nonsense. It's just fantastic. Right, so we need to attach 3 studs in a triangle pattern, but you can still make a mess of it. But that way is correct. Yeah, so that goes in there. Attach this first. Move those out of the way. Bobbins is in. Welcome, Bobbins. Hello. Bobbins says, I lurk. She welcomes you to the chat. Lurking. That's that on that. What basically happens now is that this has to go. What is my computer doing? Thought of something. One moment, people. So I shall be 1 moment. Do not despair. Just forgot to check something. Oh no! Oh, that was lucky. Forgot to turn off Windows updates. The fan kicked in. I thought for a minute it probably wasn't doing it, but I suddenly had this horrible thought: have I turned off updates? Because that can kill your stream sometimes. Right. So this goes there. I forgot how this goes together now. That sits on there like that. How does it? What? How? Oh, I see. It just glues together. Because you look at that and you think, oh, there's obviously some way that he can have it angled and stuff. But no, it probably just glue it straight. It doesn't say not to glue it. So I guess we don't glue it. Okay. We shall just glue it. Been long enough since I built one of these that I remembered how to do it. So we shall just glue it, yeah. Das ist richtig. Goes like that. That in place there. Make sure it's all nice and straight and lined up. That's kind of the critical bit. It's weird that there's no back on this. It's just open to the elements, which is a bit weird. You think there'd be some plate to go on the back, really? No, I've got the way around for a start. That doesn't help. That's why it's... There we go. That way, Fox. There you go. There is a back to go on it. It's called the back bit that you hadn't noticed. See again? Sometimes I'm special. There we go. Luckily, it hadn't glued very much, so nobody will ever know. Nobody will ever know that happened. No reason for anyone to ever know that. Right, so that goes there. That's why there's a skull on the back. That's lined up. And then what we need is... Oh, it's 110. Okay, it's going to be another one of these special super glue little bits, isn't it? Where we did like last time. 110. Where is 110? Not on that sprue, obviously. Could it be on this sprue? It be on this sprue? It might not. There's no point looking for the part number. It could be anywhere on the sprue. 111, 116. 110 is what I need there. 110. 110, 110. Okay. Get off. I shall have to acquire and ready some super glue again. No, you can't see what I'm doing. It's just I've got a great big sprue and I can't really be waving my hands around. Doing that very quickly. I'll just make sure that's straight. We'll put it in place. It sits there like that. Tilting plate. Made to make your night awesome. Yeah, that's pretty straight. Just sits there like that with coolness. Exuding coolness and cooliosity is basically what it does. Now they're supposed to be spinny, but I'm not really fussed if this is glued in place and fixed. I don't care if it spins or not. So we're just going to glue this bit. We're not going to do all the super glue like we did with the head to make the head turn. I'm not going to fuss with that. We're just going to get it glued in place. Because, as I said, it's display only. It doesn't really matter. You can't spin the tilting shield around or the multi-laser that goes on the other side. It's not a problem. Smooth. Reasonably smooth. Tricky to clean up after that nub there because it's quite hard to get near. Are we on camera? We're on camera. HM Scale Modeling's in. It says hello all. Welcome HM Scale Modelling. 40k lore. Insert Lutin plug here, says Mayhem. Yeah, there's a channel called Lutin09, I think it is. He's a really good. If you just want an easy way to digest ridiculous amounts of 40k lore while sitting, chewing on some food and downing a pleasant beverage, he's got a million videos of like 40k lore that just go on forever, and there's tons of them. Right, so that sits in there, like that, you'll see, and then this just glues on the top. Now, I'm not really fussed if this is glued in place permanently or not, because I don't care. It's going to be display only. What we're going to do is we're going to put that there. I'm going to glue that. Having said that, I do need to make sure I can get the armor on the top. Should be able to. Yes. There's there. We can glue those together. You're not supposed to. Ideally, what if you watched this the other day or last week when we did the head, for this bit here where I glued this cover on the head, what I did was I used super glue purely so that I didn't glue up the spinny thing, because the head still rotates, because I need that for painting. I need that for the convenience of painting. But for the tilting plate, I'm going to have it sticking out sideways a little bit because it makes it look interesting. But as long as that can go on there and it doesn't get in the way, I don't really care if it spins or not. It's going to be an eModels cabinet. Nobody's ever going to see it ever or play with it on the tabletop. It's never going to get moved. That's fine. I can get to that. I can paint it all, no problem. Excellent. That's glued in place forever and ever. It's not going to foul anything up, I don't think. The arm won't get in the way. I don't think. I might tilt it back in a little bit though, just to be safe. That is permanently fixed forever and ever. Everything's accessible. Yes. Now, let's do a quick test fit. Remember what I was saying about the Carapace scraping your exhausts, because they go through these holes. Now, it may well be that when you assemble it, it doesn't actually scrape the holes at the exhausts, but you can never make that assumption. What I'll do is I'll take off the hatch that's now glued in place. We'll take off the bit that we don't need in place anymore. Get all the bits of blue tack off. Don't leave any blue tack behind. That was fiddly, that was. Figure out what I could leave behind. What I could blue tack in. Oh, little tricky little bit that was. Tricksy little devil. I want to keep the side panels of the cockpit separate, just so I can paint them and then glue them in later, because I need to be able to access them to do a good paint job on them. Not only because I need to film it, but also because I need to be able to make it look good. But yeah, the canopy, or rather the carapace, sits on top like this. over the exhaust like that. It pushes down. Now, it might be that you don't take any paint off, but at least on the corners here, when you're trying to get it on, it can actually just scrape a little bit of paint off. Just a little bit. So it's always worth, if you can. These are only super glued in. I'll be able to remove those before painting. I mean, before final assembly. That will then sit on there. Like that, was it? The tight fit. And I really hope it goes together with the cockpit inside it and doesn't actually not fit. That would kind of suck. Yeah, that wouldn't be cool, would it? I think the blue tack I had gluing it in was actually in the way there. So that's how the canopy will sit on the top. And when it comes to final assembly, you don't actually need to. If I didn't particularly want to, I could theoretically not actually glue the canapes. Oh, what canopy now? The carapace down. I could just put it into place and leave it. Again, it's a display model, so theoretically, it could just be pushed into place and not glued. But that would then fit there. It fits perfectly with the tilting plate, which is not in the way, but I'll just move it around a little bit. It's spot on with the tilting plate. It doesn't get in the way. Doesn't foul it at all. Lovely. A little bit of flexibility to it, but it might just need to be pushed down a touch, I think. But I don't want to do too much pushing because obviously I've got all the handrails and things that I don't want to snap off. There's a little bit of fiddly with it. That's fine. So that is that. So what I think we'll do, I can't put the door back on because I've not got the cockpit inside. I think we'll call it a show there. It's only 5:30, but what's next? Next is to build the multi-laser, but that's going to take more than half an hour. So I think we can leave it there for now, for the time being. I need to keep examining this and just looking at little bits where it's not quite fitting spot on. Little adjustments might need to be made. Oh no, there you go. You just got to get it lined up properly, really, is the basic trick. I haven't, of course, put the armour over the top of the head yet, which is... Right. Let's do just that. Do a dry run. That sits on there like that. That can be glued on later. Once I've painted the head, that can be glued on later. This goes over the top. There you go. Snicked. Yeah, you just got to get it positioned exactly right to let it click into place. There we go. So that goes on there like that. Fits with the tilting plate. That can go on once I've painted the head and everything else. And that's kind of it. And if I haven't got the head here, but here's it happens to have a spare Imperial Knight head face just there. This will go on before that bit of armour at the top, but that's where the mask will go over the front like that. That's a spare one I just happen to have lying around. But you get the idea on camera. You get the idea. That isn't the Canis Rex faceplate, but you get the idea. So, there we go. We have just to hope and pray that when the cockpit's in place, I've got no way to attach the cockpit temporarily without actually without fouling where it goes. Where it gets attached, because I can't. Oh, maybe I can. I don't know. I do it upside down. I don't think this will work, but worth a try. Worth and try. It might not fall through. All right. There you go. I was just worried that with the cockpit in place, for some reason, knowing my luck, it wouldn't fit very well. But once the cockpit's in place, it stops this moving around so much. So it fits even better. So we can get Stumpy McPilot face in there now. Oops, he can sit in there. I know the throne's not in there. He won't actually fit that way. He will fit that way though. His magic chair's not in the place, but go on, lad, in you go. I can't put the door on because he's not going to go in that way. Oh, you don't want to play. Never mind. And I can't put the door on because the little bits aren't there, but that will sit like that. And close it there when he's not in there. Right, so that's going to do us, I think, for today. Can I not get him in there? Come on. Why do you not want to go in? Oh, never mind. I'm probably not even on camera. I'm just fussing around with it now. Right, so there we go. We'll take that carapace off again, though. So I've not done a lot today, but I've done things. I've done bits. I've done some shizzle. Just put that back up there so I don't forget that it's not part of this one. But I think that's going to do us for today. So, thank you very much for watching as always. Do join me next Friday when we will carry on with the build. We should carry on now with the multi-laser as the next step. There's not a lot to do now. We've got to build the multi-laser. Then we have to build the las impulsor, or the, what did he call it in the lore? A filthy great laser, a dirty great laser, I think he called it, something like that. Great massive laser. That needs to be built. Not too many parts, but there'll be some seam lines to clean up. And then, of course, we have to make the Hand of Slapity, which is my favourite bit. I'll move this out of the way. The Hand of Slapity, which I'm so glad this knight has by default, because I like the Hand of Slapity. Slapity hand. Then final assembly before ready for painting. So, Mayhem Model Work says, Widge. I don't quite know why. Mayhem and Bobbins, your new favourite band. It's my ska punk, alt ska punk band name. Stuart Hayes, the Manic Tuner. Sorry, I'll say that again. Stuart Hayes, the Manic Turner. It says, afternoon all, better late than never, pretty much. 432. Oh, 432 was mentioned. Dad. It says 432. Right, so yeah, we'll leave it there. We shall carry on next week. We'll see if we can get everything done. Probably won't. We'll get everything done next week. Now, like I said before, of course, I'm doing this in advance of being able to film a proper paint tutorial for this model. And as you're all aware, of course, as I've said many times, currently at the moment, this kit is not yet in stock, or not back in stock, because eModels got their first batch of Games Workshop stock in just before the entire world caught fire. And when you start stocking Games Workshop stuff, you start off with a small selection just to see how it goes, and then you boost it up. They haven't had that refill yet, because the world's been on fire and stock shortages. So they are expecting more stock to come in, and hopefully more of these and some other bits and bobs. And they're getting the full paint range. Don't worry about that. So I'm going to be waiting until they've got this and more of the paints in stock. So it's going to be hopefully in the coming weeks, but I don't know exactly when yet. So stay tuned. But we've got a couple more of these to go. And then once I can start filming this painted, we'll get that done. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget, of course, this has been filmed or streamed for eModels.co.uk. Is that straight? Yeah, I just keep looking at that and thinking it's not straight, and that's going to bug me now. Yes, eModels.co.uk, your one-stop shop, all your model making needs. If you have a need and it's model making based, they are there for you. Don't forget, of course, I tried the phone line today, and it seems to be back. There seems to be back doing the phone lines again. So if you need advice, or if you need to get something and it's not in stock, give them a shout. They can get it for you, like Sarah Jane's special car. They'll probably be able to get one for you. I don't know what I'm talking. I'm just waffling now. Let me drink more water. No. There we go. But yes, eModels.co.uk, your one-stop shop for all your model making needs. Links in the description below for the Games Workshop section of their site. So go and check it out. There's loads of other stuff in there to keep busy with until they get this back in stock. I will be back on my channel tomorrow, being Saturday, with Skyrim Saturday, with me and Jar Jar Blurp and Inigo. We'll continue exploring the world of Skyrim. I have downloaded a mod that changes the way cats look, so you may notice Inigo looks a bit different if you're a regular viewer. So just to let you know, Inigo looks a bit more pretty. Not Inigo, I mean my character. Looks a bit more pretty. A bit more kitty cat like. So there you go. I'll be back with that. And on Sunday, of course, I'll be back with Warhammer Sunday. Again on my channel. Now, don't forget, of course, on Monday, there is no eModel show on Monday, because it is, of course, here in the UK, a bank holiday, which means for people that are actually at work in offices and things, they get a day off, or a lot of them get a day off. So traditionally, it's a public holiday on Monday. It was one today, but there's always time for Kniggets. I'll always make time for an Imperial Knigget. But Mondays, yes, no show on Monday because we're having a day off because it's bank holiday. But we'll all be back the Monday after. So I shall see you next Friday on this channel with more of this puppy. Until then, take care of yourselves. I'll just make sure my buttons work. Hang on.
Slap it on.
Yep. Emergency Ted always works nicely. So take care of yourselves. Go make something awesome. Go be awesome. You're already awesome. Go to eModels.co.uk and buy all the things. Until next time. Adios, amoebas.